He's Montgomery? Oh, they're doing that.
So Anthony's
coming on
I
this.
forgot about that.
Anthony's on there, but we can't hear him. So he's gonna do this and I'll call him if.
So we gotta watch for him to do this.
Yeah. He can hear us though.
Okay.
So, okay. Hour being 9 o'clock, we'll call the April 1st Weston County Commissioners regular meeting to order. Before we do get in county business, would somebody care to do an invocation this morning?
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Lord, we are just going to rejoice and be glad in it as you have asked us to do. Lord, we just give this meeting to you right now. We ask that your will be done, that your wisdom be granted in all the decisions that are made today. Lord, I ask that you will be with people if they have problems, that their tempers will be eased, and that they will speak calmly and rationally. And Lord, we just give you this time now for your glory and your honor. And we thank you in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Peter, would you do the pledge?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We got our agenda. I've got a couple things, but I'll open it up if anybody else has any changes or additions. Yes, Mark?
Can we change the 10 o'clock hide Easter eggs to public comment?
Here.
I guess under old business, we could add a lower portion of the ramp at the sheriff's department.
That worked good. Anything else from anybody? Yes, Mr.
I don't know if it's added to it, but could we perhaps on the next ones just keep it rolling to have the MOU for the generator for the city so we don't forget it? And then I would like to keep the Title 25 contract on there as a roll till we get it, please.
Okay with that?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering yesterday about that. We need to get in contact with Gilbert about this one from the, is it the sheriff one?
The sheriff one and the city one.
Okay, yeah. The chairman's signature on the contract with White's Construction should read agreement between, it's not a contract between us. It's an agreement between Weston County, Chud, and White Construction
Okay.
on the Mallow repair. And then I want to add a quick deal, maybe under new business for extension office. Aaron has reached out to me and the state extension group is wanting to visit with the county commissioners and has allotted some dates. The issue I see with them is either we're gonna have to have a special meeting or I'll read the email, I guess, and then they can discuss it then.
Where are you putting that?
Under old new business there, does that work? All right, any other changes or additions? Take a motion, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion, seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Vouchers.
Make a motion to approve, payroll and vouchers.
Second.
There's a little place that we go down.
A motion properly seconded to approve payroll and vouchers. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you want me to be?
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Just checking.
Okay. That's right. And my coffee that Colby made me, who knows what's in it?
I'll speed the process up here.
No, it's going good. One at a time is going really fine. Gotta be that person.
At least they don't stop at Kara like they used to.
Yeah, that chair used to have a real stopgap right there.
Crazy how it would just stop.
But we solved world problems.
Let's move down one chair now.
Bring it up to the heel. Seems like that rubber band came across the last one. I coughed it here.
Here, what is this? What is this, Gary? Double fish hook.
That's me.
Double fish hook.
I can verify that's mine. It's hard to duplicate.
You got that. J.G. Reynolds right there.
Try to duplicate mine. It ain't gonna happen. It's not my name, it's a shape.
4 minutes.
What, you want me to sign my name?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, just on the bottom right here. Just right here, just.
Oh, man. Okay, I'll work on it. You'll never get it.
Oh, challenge. Challenge.
He's got a couple whips there too. That's gonna be tricky.
That was the pen. I think I'm running out of ink a little
I need
bit.
to borrow your pen that's running out of ink to do it right.
Well, I borrow that one. I got one that's completely out. That's not a pen. That's a pen.
Just give him your wallet. He's got a pen.
Couldn't have done it.
Yeah, when I get back to work, I'm gonna have to fill them. My pens.
See, my mother was born in Canada. She grew up in Canada. So film was film.
Fill them.
So when you say film, I'm thinking, what do you mean film? Film.
Well, I'm a photographer. I need lots of film.
You need film.
Of course, digital film.
Film, it's digital film, which is so much easier now to handle.
Oh, I could not imagine doing my job back in the day when you had to develop all your own pictures and stuff.
My
Oh
dad
my
was a
God.
photographer and,
But they can't do it unless it's too much.
and the county bought him a Datsun. Mom, it's a Datsun. Oh, it's a Datsun.
We need to have
My mom was.
a new name for a car. Well, when do you need it? Immediately. Dot soon?
That's you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Didn't save ourselves much.
She said,
Don't give up until you.
so what is she
She just plays like. I don't even know where I picked it up.
You heard about that German commandant that wanted to torture his prisoners?
Here we go.
And so he had them all line up and he goes, every morning you will stand here and you will go to the right and you will go tick. And you will go to the left and you will go talk. And you will stand there for an hour going tick, talk, tick, talk. Well, this one smart aleck prisoner's in the back and he's going tick, tick, tick. Halt! Everybody halt! He goes right up to that prisoner. He points right in his face and goes, we have ways of making you talk.
Get out. That was almost too far. Get out.
Truck full of water. Truck full of vinegar. And douche.
Foundation. Where you can only touch the inches or something.
I don't know.
it's just like in the main.
I don't know. I might need to go shimmy up the
It's April 1st. What can I say?
Enough. Too much? Maybe that's too much. Too much. These.
10 o'clock. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the minutes for March 18th. Assume everybody saw the copy in the email. Anybody have any? Yes, sir.
Underneath BRIC grant update, could we put behind, as an additional part to the sentence, also discussed, and you can spell it out if you want to, uninterrupted power source for the server. And then, get that. Then, this is up for discussion, but under Economic Development Board, on the newly formed, did they call it Weston County Economic Development Board?
No, because Upton has one, and then.
They called it Newcastle.
Did they call it Newcastle? So can we put the Newcastle in there, please? Just for clarification.
Good point.
And then there was just clerical ones under public records fee schedule, the apostrophe S. And then used it as a guide. I marked out to work from and put used it as a guide. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes as amended of March 18th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion? I think those are some good changes, Marty. Thank you. All those in favor of the amended minutes of March 18th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So think maybe let's go ahead and get started on this. Just if everybody's okay with that, because it might take longer than 15 minutes to discuss, and we'll wait. I'm sure much past the 10:15 point to decide on the vote to sign it or not. There's also with this is assume you guys got the email from the newsletter journal, which was on it. Everybody saw it. So, if you want to. Oh. So. I suppose, should I read this into the record, Marty, because he asked me to. Okay. So, Mr. Bonner sent on March 29th a email to everybody on the board as a public record. On behalf of the Newsletter Journal, I would like to thank you for conducting a thorough and sincere conversation about setting an appropriate fee schedule for public record requests. And I applaud your apparent desire and commitment to producing a schedule that is fair and consistent. I believe doing so will benefit the public by limiting opportunities for abuse and providing clarity and understanding into a citizen's right to access public records in the custody of Weston County officials. I was encouraged by the number of different examples you considered and pleased that you collectively seemed drawn to the reasonable and simple process and fee schedule utilized by Wyoming County. I also approve of the $20 per hour fee for Weston County that you identified over the course of your conversation, because I think that is an approximate representation of an average hourly rate earned by Weston County workers and would therefore seem reasonable and appropriate to the majority of residents. I would like to respectfully ask, however, that you consider changing the length of the uncharged grace period you propose from 15 minutes to 2 hours. I make this suggestion for a number of reasons, but primarily because public records custodians have two essential tasks: the care and preservation of public records and making those records available to individuals who wish to inspect them. I believe that public records custodians are already paid by the taxpayers to perform those essential duties, and assessing an additional fee to members of the public who ask custodians to produce the records in their care should only occur when a request is excessive. I can assure you that the Wyoming legislature approved the adoption of fee schedules for public record requests under this rationale, and would encourage you to adopt a fee schedule that reflects the legislature's intent. While I do not believe that asking a public records custodian to take 2 hours to retrieve and provide records for inspection is in any way excessive, it is certainly easier to accept a grace period of 2 hours as opposed to one that is only 15 minutes. I feel that an 8 to 10 hour grace period would truly represent a desire on the part of the commissioners to ensure the public's right to access public information, but would support the approval of the 2 hour grace period in the spirit of compromise. As you may be aware, the Joint Corporations Committee of the Wyoming State Legislature has identified a review of statutes and requirements related to public records and open meetings as their number 6 priority for the upcoming interim. The legislature is interested in examining these laws because complaints have arisen in a few areas, including the effectiveness of the ombudsman program, the cost imposed by government entities on records requests, and ignorance and disregard of public records and public meeting statutes by public officials, according to the Legislative Service Office. I would urge the Commission to establish a fee schedule that acknowledges the concerns of citizens and legislators who believe the legislature's allowance of fees for public records requests has resulted in abuse since the statute was approved in 2019. I believe that charging a member of the public a fee for a 15-minute record retrieval and inspection would, in fact, constitute abuse, and given the nature of your conversation at your March 18th meeting, I do not think that was the board's intent. I suggest a more reasonable 2-hour grace period would reflect a true willingness to protect the public's right to inspect public records in the care of Weston County officials. Sincerely, Robert Palmer, News Editor. So, Becky put this resolution together. And it does follow a lot of what UNF County basically did, right?
Big.
Everybody look at that. Here's this. Pass along with
Most of your record requests like that, is that stuff that the public could actually access to if they wanted to look? So it's, the records are there that they could research if they wanted to, most of it.
And the vault's open when you guys are open, right?
Yeah. Recently, the public records requests that came in are stuff that we have to, copy off, but this recent one was one that is unprecedented, that has never happened before. And took days to
my concern, I guess, a little bit of it is, when does it become abusing that search for that information and not 15 minutes here and there, or 30 minutes, whatever the time frame is. It may not be a lot on a daily basis, but over the course of a year, that's a lot of working hours if it happens a lot. Sorry.
No.
I can see that if you did the 2 hours, it could be abused. Someone could take it upon themselves. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could be abused. And I know that, if say the office that's being requested of, they have someone gone and they're short-handed and it's a busy time for them. It's the first of the month. End of the month in Susie's office, everybody's doing license plates, and one person is gone researching over and over. I understand his question about they're already getting paid, but that's an additional, it's almost like taking on an additional job and taking that person away from what they are normally paid to do. I think 2 hours is too much.
I think the word that was used in the statute was a reasonable fee, and that's interesting to consider because what's reasonable to the requester might not be reasonable to the provider. And so I think it's probably very important for the Board of Commissioners to determine what is reasonable. So we're taking care of the time that's invested into providing those requests, but also not discouraging the requesting of those documents.
So every single person that works in this courthouse makes over $40 an hour. So you're not even charging what each of those individuals make. So, and Vera's right, it's taking time away from our everyday duties, and so we're having to make up for that after we're done completing the task of what we're having to look for. So we don't have extra staff like most of these counties. They have staff for this and staff for that, so they can take the time away from their duties. Each of us, 4 individuals in the office. Some offices only have 2.
I think another thing to keep in mind too is there's a time frame there of a records request of 30 days, and that has caused some major issues. People are unhappy when it's not there in 3 days or a week, and person might be able to pick 15 minutes every 3 or 4 days and then provide it within that 30-day time frame, but that might be the understanding that, I don't know. It's I understand both sides of it.
I'm more with the 15 minutes because I think the majority of them you can go and get and hand over probably within even in the 15 minutes. But I do, in years past when we've had those weird, strange requests of, that would take hours upon hours of research. In years past when we've had those weird, strange requests of, that would take hours upon hours of research. I'm okay with the 15.
Nothing against, I guess just use Alexis for an example. She had some questions, multiple questions in the last couple of weeks about various issues, and because they're pertaining to a previous records request, kind of answer them or try to answer them best you can, and that you're still taking time out of your time without filing. You're now asking for more. What more do you want? And it's still costing more time to try to provide those answers, and try to be, rightfully so, as transparent as you can be and open to it. But I don't know. It's a catch-22 in a lot of ways.
Last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion about this, and we, as a board, we all agreed on the 15 minutes. It's not like we just grabbed a number out of the air just instantly on 15 was good. And it was a lot of things considered. So I'm good with the 15. We actually discussed it in quite a bit of length last meeting.
I'm okay with it too. I think that if the legislature gives us better guidance in the next year or two, we adjust accordingly. And until then, I'm perfectly happy with that. But,
a little bit, throw back at the legislators, they come out with this great idea, but then it's like, oh, you guys got to figure out the fine details to it, and there's no uniformity. They leave it up to 23 counties to come up with 23 different ideas. So,
Although they add on to that, you do have 23 different counties that have 23 different staffs, that have 23 different abilities to do certain tasks. And so I kind of go on there'd be certain counties that might be a little more stress put on if it's a heavy load, and other counties would go, we're done. So I think it's probably okay. So that might be the pushback that you have when the state comes to it, making the decision. They may leave some of those up, but until then, we'll wait to listen to testimony, and let's just remember to testify if we don't, necessarily like what they're saying.
we might not like the answer they give us.
That's correct.
That's the thing. So if it comes up on their end, we make sure our voices are heard.
Correct.
How much volume on these type of record requests have we been seeing lately?
As large as this one that we just previously did, or all of them?
Try to get an idea of what type of volume.
So I don't see what the other offices get as far as records requests, but we get Maybe 1 or 2 a month. And some of them we can't do because they're asking for information that's not public information.
Or 9 out of 10 of them, typically a 15-minute deal.
Yes. Yep.
That's Mr.
Do you have requests that, in an occasion that probably somebody could come and get it themselves, like go in the vault, and they just choose for you to do it, and I mean, they could physically actually come here and do it?
And we tell them that's not a public records request, that that's information that we can't do for them, that they have to come into the vault and do.
Okay,
And most of the public records requests, right on there, we will pay up to X amount of dollars. Anything over that, we will not do. And so if it costs more than that, we don't want it.
I guess that's another, a positive about having this schedule that you can give people. You, or I'm sure Kara does quite a bit of record request things. I know Tina did. So I think that having this schedule, then people can decide, is it important enough for me to pay $20 or $40? If I was requesting records, I guess I would assume I was going to pay a fee to get those. And if it's important enough to me, then I'll do so. So if you have the choice of looking at how much it's going to cost, and I'm sure you or Kara or Susie or upstairs, they can pretty much say it's probably going to take us X amount of time. Do you want to do it? And then that gives people the opportunity to make that choice.
And on that, with most of your record requests, do you know, when you see it, you pretty well know if it's gonna be fairly easy or if it's gonna be lengthy. So that, I mean, they know that when they request it, you can tell them.
And that's why it's important to have the form, and then Michael will come up if it's something that him and I will need to discuss, and we can say this is not public record, and you need to tell them that they can't have access to this.
Do you think we should? Kara's seen this, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Well, she said she doesn't normally, she can't charge. She has no way to collect funds. So there's nothing on here where she would ever have to charge public records request. She doesn't do where she has to charge. There's nothing ever where she would have to, when I discussed it with her.
Okay.
Most of hers are easy where, the stuff that she does.
So, sorry, it'd be more upstairs or
like in the treasurer's office. I don't think Susie does a lot of public records either. It's mostly in Ricky's office and my office, where the records are.
she does charge for, like, if people want some lengthy research on whatever, like plot layouts or whatever, I assume. That's right. And you can go look if you'd like. Forget,
You can't make copies of those. You can take a picture of them.
it's the same upstairs. If that court file is public, and there's very few that are not. I mean, juvenile ones are, and some sexual assaults are not, but you're allowed to go in there. On her permission, of course.
well, that's the pleasure of the board.
I have a couple other
Yeah,
things.
good.
Just for clarification, would it be okay, we don't know what the state is going to do, but like on our photocopies, can we put that price is for 8.5 by 11? most of them are gonna be that, but let's make for clarification, so somebody doesn't come in here and ask for 11 by 17 or something, you have to go find paper. And then perhaps just under the electronic record production, just put the word flash drives, which is the technical word for it, because we have the other one that says other, and we'll just make it clear that it's the flash drive.
Do you want me to go change that real fast?
If it's okay with this
Did you
board.
already write it on there?
Yes,
Okay.
if it's okay with this board.
I'm okay with it.
Any clarification's good on.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, thanks. You're giving this back to me? What am I supposed to do with it?
Redo that.
It's used. I wonder what I'd take that for.
Boy, it got quiet out there.
They're all
It did,
upstairs.
didn't it?
They're all upstairs. 20 minutes will go by or 25, I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the elevator's working.
Cause some of them, not very many of them use the elevator.
Saw a gal that was having trouble getting down the stairs. Downstairs when I came in this morning.
Is it working? Is the elevator working right now?
Don't push our luck, just, it's okay.
I avoid elevators. Heights don't bother me, but movement when I can't see the movement, it's terrible.
I got to go to the 8,000 feet down, and now it's called the Sanford mine. But in the Homestead mine, it went 8,000 feet down. And the elevator was a freight elevator. So the purpose of it is the elevator rider pulls the thing and the arms go out and that's how you stop.
The model of that mine is amazing.
It goes really fast.
It goes really fast and they have a screen on the top to screen you through. We have a fresh one?
Yeah.
Hot.
8.5 by 11 under photocopies here.
You may do it.
I did. Jeez.
Maybe they're delegating it.
No.
It's just like that. Derail.
Could I have this double spaced, please?
But I'm starting to be slightly derailed, but sitting around waiting.
You're gonna be all doped up on alcohol. I'll probably Tylenol.
I don't know what you gave me for that stuff.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the signatures of the Board of County Commissioners on Resolution 2025-6. Resolution to establish a fee schedule for public records, requests made pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 164201, so on.
Second.
I'm not gonna say whatever.
It's sick.
That's it.
You got that? We have a properly seconded motion on the floor. to approve resolution 25, 2025-6. Threw me for a loop when you started.
God bless us.
Is there any discussion? Yes.
Are we going to consider the request of Mr. Bonner? Or I'm assuming that maybe we already have.
That could be, the motion on the floor is to approve it as is, but that could certainly be brought up in discussion here again if there's a good argument to go a different direction and people could vote their conscience based off of that.
I believe, being that we've got a letter written in, I appreciate the reading of the letter. I really don't have a solid stance on whether or not that was considered. I think we kind of breezed on through it a little bit. We did look at it and I guess made some adjustments to it. I guess my question to the board is anything over 15 minutes considered abusive of our resources?
I would think that would be at the discretion of the person who's providing. If they felt, it ended up being 20 minutes, nobody's gonna have a heartbreak, or they stopped and went. I think the discretion of the either one of the department heads could be the one to say it's okay and sign off on it. What they were put into, because I think you do get interrupted by things. People come in. It would be hard for you to to quantify exactly how many minutes. So I think that would be at the discretion. But if it got to be excessive, that's where you fall into that, and that could be determined ahead of time. Is my feeling on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good avenue to start that form. Then once the person being asked for that would be able to immediately probably look at it and say, no way, this is going to take me an hour, hours, whatever. Or, so Michael, please start the process with whoever the requester is, let them know, and let's get this form to let them know. Or it's going to take me 20 minutes. I'll just get it done. Then there's no need to even do this in the first place. So just do it. Because if it doesn't need to necessarily, if it's going to be under that, if there's not going to be a assigned fee for that work, there's really no point in them even filling out one of these, correct? So, and hopefully it could be done in a few minutes or within that day or two, and whereas the latter could take a couple weeks depending on what the ask is, and the person needs to understand that too on the other end, and not get upset with the individual for taking time to get it processed. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think as Commissioner Wagner and I kind of both said, you'll be able to tell people, like you just said in the beginning, it's probably going to take us X amount of hours. Do you still want to do it? And people can decide at that point. And the other thing is, how important is it to you? Is it worth paying $20 or $40? We pay for copies and things like that everywhere you go. It's no different than anywhere else. I think the transparency of having the fee schedule makes it more reasonable and fair, and keeps it from having someone say they've been charged differently than someone else. We don't want that to happen. I think it's a fair schedule.
And I'm not too sure I'm not okay with, even if it's a 15 minutes to sign the form. And why I'm saying that is because that becomes I don't know how to term this, you guys do this right, but it's almost a contract that you will have it done in that 15 minutes.
Good point.
And so I think if you still do that, you're still within, and even if, and what I'm saying is if it does end up being 20 minutes, that would still be the discretion, but I think you've signed a contract that I can get this done in 15 minutes, no problem.
I agree with that point.
On top of that, if you sign that, that becomes a record then.
Correct.
So 15 years now, somebody says, well, we didn't have access, so dig back through. No, here's a public records request that was granted for you. It's on file. It was done. You know,
Something I hadn't thought of is it also would provide a chain of custody, of command of a way to show the public that you aren't favoring somebody as opposed to not somebody else. Good point, Marty. I appreciate that.
Can I have a cough drop now?
Any
I'm just kidding.
any other discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor of the resolution, or the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Have an aye. Credit card pre-authorization.
You want my blue pen? You got a blue pen?
I have it. Government spot. Yeah. These are blue. We'll show the copies, but doesn't matter.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
Done.
So that's a pre-authorization for the law enforcement center to get some advertisements out for hiring some new individuals and also for upstairs for snacks and stuff for the jury trials.
Thank you. Just in case, she said she doesn't know for sure if she'll need to, but just in case she has to.
Yes, sir.
May we make these separate?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the credit card pre-authorization request for the Clerk of District Court concerning meals for jury trial starting March 31st through April 11th, 2025.
Second.
Got a motion properly seconded to approve the Clerk of District Court's credit card pre-authorization request. Is there any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just would remind to bring receipts.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's go to Adams Publishing and the Law Enforcement Center on some online advertising to try for more employees.
I guess the question, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
the question I have, this was Ray 13, have they made the ads already?
Don't know.
She did.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think so, because they were asking if the board had approved it at the last meeting,
Okay.
so they were asking, so.
Yes.
Do they have an idea of how much that would be?
$1,249. Says that they have checked locally for online advertising.
This Adams Publishing goes to about 7 newspapers around Wyoming. So it puts the same ad in about, I think it was 7 when I looked it up. So it's just a mass advertisement all across the state of Wyoming. The thing I would, well, I'll wait till we pass it for discussion. Sure, I'll be glad to. Mr. Chairman, I move that we have authorized a pre-authorization for credit card request for Adams Publishing for the Weston County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
There we go. Motion properly seconded for the Adams Publishing pre-authorization request. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Again, I would ask that we get the ad sheets to go with the voucher, please.
Any other discussion?
Cut sheets. That's the official term, right, Nick?
That's what they call them.
Cut sheets?
Tear sheet.
Tear sheets. See, I was getting there. Tear sheets.
Okay, no other discussion. All those in favor of the credit card pre-authorization request from the Sheriff's Department for $1,249 to Adams Publishing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright.
No.
Okay, moving to collections of the county clerk.
We got the check.
Oh,
You know, it's nice, huh? No, we just had a really good month.
Public Health and Clerk of District Court.
Came yesterday, actually. We tried to get that was good. She's still pretty
So is this gonna kind of be the finish of it?
of the bigger thing. Went from 1680 to 20.
What's the miscellaneous?
Those are the top. We got our check from Vault Side.
Oh, okay.
We did a lot of work. The check from Vault Side. It was 20, so we still did 10.
You got the check from Vault Side?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
could we put this on here that you got it from Vault Site so that we'd know in later years? Could we put it in parentheses, Vault Site? Was whatever it was, just so that we have a record that we got
It's
it?
on my document, I think, a receipt from them. It's in my system.
Okay, so can somebody get to that system if they wanted to get, I mean, a freedom of information, you could kick them out that? Is that,
I mean, I can
Public?
print a receipt to them.
Well, just, the reason I'm saying is just because we've gone through this journey. And, future boards may not understand, but, you know, the question will be asked, did we get paid by them? And I just would like some type of easy way to put,
Can I just put in the minutes?
absolutely, you could, if you would tell me when I.
Was noted that the county was paid by Wallside in March of 2020.
And an amount? Is it this 21,000?
No.
Okay. It's just 20 grand even?
No, I would have to look at the check amount.
Just to be a pain in the neck. I would put that in the motion. If you would give me that number, please. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, so often we go back to look at minutes or we go to look and we don't have the full information and time goes by and people can't remember. We're all doing that all the time here. So.
I see value in it. I mean, like if you're perusing through those and you see an anomaly like that,
This is a shocker.
yeah. I don't have any issue with it.
Well, you've only been going through it for a few minutes. Lord, that's been a long time.
I think I'd like to see it separate there. And it's
Then you can do this one.
miscellaneous.
Got it. Perfect. You want to do this one?
Yes.
Got a question too on that. I'm excited that we did get a check from Vaultside. Is that what they owed us, or is that what they determined they wanted to pay?
No, they owed us.
They did.
Those were the back ones when they were still paying the water
Right.
amount.
Yeah.
Now they're only gonna pay 20% versus 80% on a certain amount and 60% on a certain amount. Now we're down to 20.
Does that get us?
Sorry, Marty.
That's okay.
That first.
So this 20,000 is what was in arrears. So I can say that. I'm not gonna say
Here.
the other thing.
Well, along with that, the one from upstairs has miscellaneous fees of $1,134. I guess, same thing, it'd be kinda nice if that's a pretty big miscellaneous fees. It'd be kinda nice to have some, even in parentheses, what that is. Not just for us, but for them in the future, or for anyone in the future, because it's the largest amount on your monthly statement, but it just says miscellaneous.
It's important.
Does that get us up to speed for what they owe Vaultside?
Yeah, now it's just like $100 here or $20 there.
Okay.
When they used to get $2,000 or $3,000 a month.
So I guess maybe we could just request on these monthly statements, if you have an unusual deposit,
If Ricky's breakdown, just
yeah,
kind of itemize miscellaneous, not just
just say miscellaneous.
the future.
That'll keep you healthy.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the collections from the county clerk for $30,865.82, which includes, as written as miscellaneous receipts, $20,643.67 from Vaultside, payment in full, or in arrears, or whatever, however you want to put it. Do you want more than, you want them all in there?
Sure, if you'd like to.
Okay. Weston County Public Health in the amount of $505.28. And from the Clerk of District Court, $2,280.52, with the request that miscellaneous be explained.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
So, discussion, do we want that request to be for maybe miscellaneous to have a little more detail in the future? This
Yes.
one? Okay. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. County Road Fund. So this is
Oops.
sorry. For contract trucking and gravel to resurface portions of Buffalo Creek Road, number 20 with J-Base. So, do we have any questions on it? I drove out there this weekend. It is bad in places. I drove a lot of county roads this weekend, just checking things, and there's a lot of them that are, this moisture's really, but that definitely had some bad spots.
Moisture will help it though. I mean, help them work it.
Yeah. All right, Ms. Erdman.
That's okay. The only thing that I ask on this is that at a later date, when an amount has been determined what was spent on that it get added to this.
Yeah.
It kind of needs to have the amount that is going to be spent.
I thought that was kind of odd that it doesn't have that associated with it. Anybody got anything else on?
Oh, copy of it.
A motion to let Road and Bridge use county road funds to hire contract trucking and purchase gravel out of the county road fund for Buffalo Creek Road, number 20.
So moved.
Is there a second? So, in discussion, do we do this without having a number of price attached to that? That's my only issue.
Mr. Chairman, I'm uncomfortable with it.
Me too. Really?
Jimmy's out there now.
Yes. I mean, could he add it now if he has a rough idea? Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I was late last time, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there early this time.
Sorry.
Hey, Jamie, the MOU, do you usually put like a rough price of what you're gonna pull out of county road fund on those? Kind of just whatever needs to be pulled to patch that.
Yeah, on that one, it's kind of hard to predict.
I understand that.
I don't know what our trucking bids are gonna be.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Aside from the 70,000 crew money, there's probably other parts of that road there that need some gravel. That was across me yesterday, and it's pretty recent. It's a school bus route, so some of those spots It's not going.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I can give you a ballpark on it.
Mr. Chairman, I would like the ball.
You know, I figured just on the Truman, depending on how many trucks we use, I think I figured 150,000 just for the trucking.
And then gravel, which is, who knows, I suppose.
How much per ton is gravel these days?
It just went up to $8 a ton.
Would it be okay with the motion maker to, as part of that MOU, to write in the price per ton of gravel and truck kind of unknown with an estimate of around 150,000 potential?
You know, I can set a price and just try to keep it there.
Mr. Chairman? That's what I would, just to have that so the record is there, before we sign it. There's no, I mean, things come in different all the time, we can correct it later. But that gives a record of what was spent out of there.
I guess I'd set it at 200,000 if you're comfortable with that. You know, I can keep track of it. If we're gonna run over on trucking, I can shut the contractors off on that road and finish it with her.
Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't shut the contractors off, so give it what you think.
Mr. Gordon?
The amount of trust that's, I mean, even though this has been handled this way in the past, we pretty much need, obviously we need a signature on an agreement without even some type of a cap on it. I'm not saying put a ridiculously high cap on it, but we don't want to increase the cost of what this project's going to cost because we discontinue in order to get another $20,000 approval or something. So we just need some type of a top tier on it.
Yeah, and I was gonna visit with you guys today too, about, you know, what you want to spend on all this. It's gonna be substantial, but what you guys want.
$250,000, do you think would come off close?
On top of that.
No,
On top
just
of
this one.
Just that MOU?
Just the Buffalo Creek Road,
Yeah, I think we can make that work.
because that's what the motion is on the table, so.
Yeah. And then if something happens, let us know, I guess. And then if something happens, let us know, I guess.
We'll fill out another one.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend my motion to a $250,000 ceiling on that.
Okay. Is that okay with the motion maker?
I didn't make the
Or
motion. he
the
did.
seconder, I'm sorry. Whoever seconded it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So, just in final discussion, I guess on my part, good point, Garrett. If we hamstring you and something changes the prices, that would be foolish to do. So if you're comfortable with that, okay. So, any other discussion? There's a motion on the floor to authorize an MOU to use county road funds not to exceed $250,000 on this specific MOU with the Buffalo Creek Road number 20. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On the right. Max $250,000 on it. That's okay with everybody. back, I think.
2 more.
2 more, and then we'll be back again, sorry. Okay, we have an agreement between the Weston County Board of Commissioners, Chubb Insurance, and White Construction. They're doing those repairs, and Chubb and White Construction came to a agreement on a cost, and they just want something official from the owners of the building saying that we're okay with this agreement between Chubb and Howard White Construction doing that repair work. And this is that agreement. And basically it says this repair agreement is made and entered into the 10th day of March 2025 by and between Howard White Construction with address in Weston County with our address. This agreement authorizes Howard White Construction to perform work at the direction of Chubb Insurance for the completion of water damage repairs at Mount Camp. Gives the address and contact for Chubb, project site address to Mount Camp Lodge. Weston County will be responsible for work outside the scope of the flood damage repairs or any insurance deductibles. Sounds like Whites are halfway done with the project already, by the way. Which is pretty phenomenal news, considering where we thought we were a couple months ago. Chris, Marty.
Can you explain to me, I'm doing it, the evolution of this document to that document?
That document is a contract that White Construction usually hands out to contractually build for an individual. And Chubb wanted the contract between us and White Construction to do the work. Well, the discussion was with Chubb that we were not involved with this as a contract. This was, they hired ServPro, and they are also working with White Construction. And all we are is just sitting back and letting them handle the repair work. So when that was created and sent, I said, we cannot do this, because then we're going to be potentially getting involved with having to, this needs to go out to bid if it's done with us. And so that's why it evolved into an agreement that we understand that they're working together and not that contract between us. Yes, sir.
The last sentence on here where it says Weston County will be responsible for work outside the scope of the flood damage repairs or any insurance deductibles. I would like to know before those repairs might be considered, if there is, in agreeing to just how it's worded, those repairs could be done and then billed for. So maybe if we know on the front side,
Yeah.
would be good.
And I think if we go outside of that scope of work, then we will have to probably, if it's any extents above or whatever, then it probably has to go out to a bid work. Yes, ma'am.
So do we have a definition of what the scope of work is?
Whatever Chubb designated, I've never really seen it. I know White Construction came back quite a little under what Chubb thought it was going to cost to have the building repaired, but I do not have that definition of the scope of work. I've never seen it. Nick does, or Howard White Construction does it.
Mr. Chairman, do you think it'd be a good idea if we had one?
I can ask him for it.
That'd be good. I'd appreciate that.
In the meantime, would it be okay with the board to get my signature on that agreement so that he can get that to Chubb to start receiving payment on the work performed that they've been doing?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with that. I just, there's just a trigger when we open-end things. And when we don't, I mean, we've been burned before. If we don't narrow that down so that we know exactly, then that can happen.
Tell me what you want changed on that, and then we could approve it.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mind that it says workout. I just would like to understand what the scope is and when we step outside of it.
So what do you want?
The scope.
And when do you want it?
I will take it after. I don't mind as long as we understand what it is.
I will ask Nick for, I don't know if he's got something electronic. I assume he probably does.
Mr. Chairman, just so that we can go back, if we get this bill and say, did we agree to this? Is this outside the scope?
See, and I don't, that's the odd thing is, I don't know that in his working with Chubb, I would assume that he's falling within the scope of what they tell him is what needs repaired. So that's kind of a weird sentence to have that added to that, because
It is.
I think Nick would be okay with striking that if we would like. No, Anthony is not waving his arm, so I don't know.
Well,
Can I call you Anthony?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you kind of hear what's going on?
I mean, I've been listening for the last 10, 15 minutes. My guess is it's a standard form that the contractor pulled out, because oftentimes in insurance cases, there'll be other things they discover as they work through repairing whatever the damage is. I don't have any special knowledge of what the exact repairs are here, but I'm just using the example of a friend of mine is working here in Gillette on a house that partially burned down, and he just put something like in that for his agreement with the insurance company, just because he's not an electrician, and if they go start tearing the roof off and they find that there's a bunch of electrical damage, that falls outside his scope and what he's agreeing to repair. I would assume that Chubb has an exact authorization of what they're paying and what damage is getting repaired.
Okay. Yeah, Gary.
We've actually fallen into this same topic already in the consideration of the ductwork in the flooring. We're naturally responsible for the property because it's the county's, and so we know that. When it's worded on the agreement of being something that's very obvious, I just want to also clarify that the communication is open on the front side, and hey, we ran into something here. This is going to be above and beyond that. Let's talk to the county and see if that's something they want to move forward with or whatever. Just like we did with the ductwork.
Yeah. So with that said, a brief call to Nickel, right? Would that be okay? Pick up the phone. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
I think this time, as far as they're into this project, they should, I don't think they're finding anything much more hidden, they're going back together at stage. I would just like to see a copy of the scope of work. So if something comes up, it's like, this was in your scope of work that needed to be done, or we can decide then if it's deviating from the scope of work.
Yeah, of course. Call me, can't answer it, but it's the pleasure of the board. Yep, he's called. Hey, Nick.
Hey.
You're on speakerphone. There's a couple questions on the contract, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Marty's got a scope of work question for you.
Okay.
Hey Nick, this is Marty. Hey, do you have an actual document from, what'd you call it, Chubbs or whatever?
Chubb.
Of the scope of work? My question is if it's such a broad thing that if something else comes out, we just would like to have the scope if that's possible. Do you have a copy of that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I can send it right over.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
One other thing on there. If anything were to deviate outside of that, like I think it's in the last paragraph you have there, that would be something you just come to us. We would know in advance, correct? Before anything.
Well, I guess that would. Well, it'd be the board probably, I guess, right?
The board.
However you want to work that, I guess. But yeah.
Okay.
It would need to be something that was decided up front. But I guess I don't know if my point of contact would be you guys or the board on that deal. So.
I guess if there's something outside the scope work, I think this board needs to be involved in that loop as long as Mallow too. So we're all informed of what's going on.
Okay.
Especially.
I don't think that there's anything that I'm aware of right now. So. Yeah. That's been. I think we're okay right now. So. But yeah, if there is anything, that we'll definitely make sure we get that approval first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll send that to Becky, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. So, I've got one other thing. Like, I want to point out on this. Like, whole thing has made me uncomfortable because I've never, I guess, had to deal with an insurance company where they come in here and tell us that they're just going to handle everything, and this was an emergency deal. Like, so I get it. They go out and they hire somebody, and it's a $200,000 bill, but now they're asking us to piggyback on top of what they have initiated on these costs. Granted, it's not costing us any money, but still, it just makes me uncomfortable that I don't want anybody to ever look at this and say that we were out there not doing our due diligence to get somebody to repair this or fix this project via the path of statutorily required in like a building process or a repair or a remodel job. So I guess this must fall into a different category somehow because it's an insurance company and it's a repair job and time is of the essence kind of thing, and they're the insurer. I mean, I know we discussed this with Michael in a number of meetings ago. It made sense to him that it's their responsibility at this juncture to fix the problem. So I feel like they're putting us in a weird spot, I guess, with having to sign some agreement now that we are okay with it. I guess I understand in some extent that it just feels odd, yes.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we have to, and I fully and completely aware what ASSUME stands for, but that the insurance company went through the processes required. When we had the failure of the water pipe upstairs and it came all the way through, that insurance company didn't go through that process. They just cut us a check, if I recall. And then we had to go through. But the difference is we had someone who was able to do that at that time. We had a county administrator that did that. Then brought those interesting things to us at that time. So, I mean, the process was done differently, but probably similar. If we don't like that process, then we need to jump in there and somehow take over that process. If we don't like when an insurance company does that. I guess that's the part you have to get out in the beginning, is this how this is going to happen. The problem that I see happening there is we don't have a specific person that does that. That makes it very long, tedious, that if we only meet every 2 weeks, processes don't happen. So I think that's the decision this board would have to make if you want to be hands-on. And do we ask at the beginning, did you follow whatever has to?
Yeah, and I understand that wholeheartedly. It just, because, I mean, I didn't have it in me to know that ServPro could get here that night and immediately resolve the situation. I just want the public to know that the insurance company is who's handled this, and this has not been on this board to design who mitigated the problem and who, when ServPro looked for somebody to repair the problem because time was of an essence. And I assume also on their side of things, because if that wasn't fixed within a certain time frame, their insurance policy would also pay for loss of use of the facility. So, and you're 100% correct. If we got a leak in the building and I'm running around trying to figure out what to do and try to get something solved without the approval of the board, it could be a problem. This is just a unique situation that just kind of made me feel uncomfortable. I hope that the public understands that that's how this whole thing has been handled, is through the insurance.
Mr. Cameron,
Yes.
I'm grateful that they did.
Me too. I very much so.
Well, I'm grateful they did, and when we first got into this, the discussion was that they was gonna have to probably bring contractors from somewhere out of our area to fix this, and we've got a local contractor that's already real half done with it. I mean, overall, it's been a very positive thing, but you're concerned. I can see somewhere a train could derail in this, and we've left out hanging. I feel we're very fortunate on this one that things have went as good as they did.
Yeah, and I trust by construction to absolute most possible degree, and I feel that it'll be a good job when it's finished. And I'm happy that they hired him. I just want the public to know that this was a different situation than something going out to a bid, perhaps. So, yes, ma'am.
Well, if someone would like to see how White's construction go across to the assessor's office and to downstairs, you will be very impressed with what that quality is.
So we've got pretty deep into this. I in the middle of my head bobbed over. Is there a motion on the floor? There has been a motion.
No.
Okay. In the middle of my head bobbed over. Is there a motion on the floor? There has been a motion.
No.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board with the agreement?
I'd make a motion to approve the chairman's signature on the agreement between Chubb and White's Construction for payment on the work at Mallow.
Second.
Motion moved, properly seconded for agreement between White Construction and Chubb Insurance, with our understanding that White Construction is doing the project work. Please, so, is there any discussion?
With the understanding that it was a verbal agreement on the communication side of the wording of that last sentence.
Yes.
And also there will be scope of work forthcoming to us.
You want to read that motion?
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Is that where we're at? I apologize, I'm in the loop. An MOU, Weston County Board of Commissioners and Weston County Fair Board. This is something Paul Stile had asked us to do eons ago. And Michael got it here in front of us. I don't know if it necessarily needs approval today, but I think here it is. Did you email that?
Yep.
If everybody had it, obviously I brushed over it, but, this was a kind of a deal to ensure that Weston County and the Fair Board group kind of had an understanding of the separation of each other, and you weren't here, Maureen.
I got one.
You're looking confused.
It's a standard look for me.
I don't want to drag this up
Go ahead.
too long, but, let's see, that was under number 5. Number 5 says the Fair Board agrees to and shall present an update to the commissioners at least once a month so that the commissioners can ensure that the Fair Board is operating the Weston County Fairgrounds facilities, payroll, and invoicing as desired. Sorry, not 5, 4. The Fair Board wishes to independently operate the Weston County Fairgrounds facilities, payroll, and invoicing. Still under 4, the commissioners agree to such an arrangement subject to the Fair Board complying with all applicable rules, regulations, and laws relating to the same subject to the oversight of the commission. With that in mind, it is disturbing knowing that they have their own handbook. I agree with the MOU, but that's really, the MOU states it correctly, but that's really not what's happening.
Yeah. Yes, Martin.
Mr. Chairman, I would rather have a longer discussion on this than just, and I would ask that perhaps we table this and have a more in-depth as to why, what's the implications. I know I missed it, but just reading this, I had highlighted almost the same thing, so just have a little more time.
I'd be in agreement with that table until we have more time for it.
Okay. Add to the next agenda. Okay.
Do you want a motion or you just?
Sure, and we'll just invite Fair Board to just be around. And,
Right, so is the next meeting okay with you? Yeah, in Upton, so shall we make it the May one?
Sure.
Sure, make me look it up, that's fine.
Yeah. May
6th.
6th. Sorry.
Along with that, I agree, and I think we need to look into, I know we started a discussion about should the Fair Board, or should the fairgrounds manager be a county employee, or should they have responsibility because we're doing different employees, we have our manager, building manager as a county employee. Should they be the same? So I think we need to discuss that along with this interview.
Agreed, and I think what spurred this is Michael was doing house cleaning and saw that we had that discussion and brought it forward.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the memorandum of understanding between the Weston County Board of Commissioners and Weston County Fair Board until the May 6th meeting.
The motion to table MOU to the May 6th meeting. All those, any other discussion on that?
Might make it more than 15 minutes.
Any other? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jim, sorry, you're up.
The bid letting for the DNSF bridge is supposed to be this month. That has been pushed back to either July or August. Still negotiating through.
One more time, Mr. Chairman, so everybody can hear it. Sorry.
The bid letting on, this is highway, or old highway,
Yeah.
85 bridge has been pushed back to July
or August.
or August now.
Mr. Chairman, my comment was facetious in the fact that I wanted everybody to hear my eye roll.
Oh.
So Jimmy, I did hear you and I apologize, but it was so everybody could hear my eye roll.
I think you guys are probably, I think we're talking about the last meeting that the legislature approved. We can set speed limits on gravel roads as low as 35 with our speed study now. So that will kind of speed things up. I think we've got a few roads that people consider doing that on. I think all we have to do is like revisit Brian and County and get approval from you guys and put it on it.
Cool.
Did you guys read the email from Kenny Rathman from Engineering Associates regarding putting them on the retainer on a monthly basis?
Is
that what this
is?
Yes. Did you get the email part of it to the conversation between him and me?
No, I just got this.
Okay. What he quoted is 10 hours a month at $1,800 a month. I know we've done that in the past.
Yes.
Price was a little cheaper.
The only questions I had on it were, even though they clarified down on the bottom, but I don't like the review and approval of subdivisions. That's not our purview. You know, that's somebody else's job.
And what this is, I think, is he just took a copy. They do this for other counties in the state, and it's just a draft.
But I would like to have that marked out. And that same with on the second paragraph underneath scope of functions. I got it here if you want it. Okay, you can have my copy. I did, Mr. Chairman, okay. I did read, I started to do something with the bridges, but then they clarify it down on the very last bullet point. So I'm okay with it because they clarify it that's under county road standards and it's under the bridge, and so I'm okay with it. When I first read it, I went, let's be careful here, but if they're gonna follow those, I'm okay with it. I guess my other question is, Weston Engineering is no longer doing the hydrology.
We have not used them.
Okay, okay. That's just was my question. Because we've used them for so long, and time changes, I understand that. I hate to take it away if we've been using them. Don't mind Jimmy.
No. Not looking in depth on this, but I'm assuming we don't use any hours January, February, March to get the bank that, to apply it toward one project.
Absolutely.
We have to have them, you know, for any projects that are over 75,000 on county road fund anymore. That's nothing. You know, you start loading dirt work on stuff, you don't have to have anything that involves bridges, you know, where it's required.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, even if we go to buy big loads of gravel, that has to be redlined. You know, if we have stockpiles and you use county road fund, it has to be redlined, and that's, takes 2 seconds, but at least we have it, that it was engineered. I don't have a problem with it, other than the subdivision. I don't want somebody getting this and going, oh, county's gonna pay for us to plat out our subdivision roads. No.
Yeah, I'm good with that too, you know, get it clarified, just get subdivision stuff out of there and they're following county road standards. I mean, it was nice when we had Gary doing it, we had an ongoing stuff, little jobs he could take care of while he was here and give us updates on it, so I'm good with it.
I am too.
Do you wanna, have Jim get that back to Kenny and just
Give us something.
a refresher that we could maybe get a signature on?
I'm continuing to get calls on the Roxon Road.
Throw it away.
Don't take,
Had calls from a landowner and oil company again. There is a couple of parts of it, I think we're just gonna go down there and try to get fixed for the meantime, but I don't know what you guys think for the dirt work that needs done on that to fix the worst spots. I think, you know, 2 blades went down there, I think we could knock it out in 10 weeks. If we were to, you know, if we did that, say in October, November, we would have hit and wet, you know, it'll freeze and hold through the winter. The oil company has committed to at least give us water. They said we could all water we want. Staffing levels allow help right up in the driveway. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Mr. Chairman, so who's operating the truck and driving?
Arena Resources.
Which is the oil company or
Yes.
Are they, Mr. Chairman, are they going into Niobrara County?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we write a letter to Niobrara County again, asking for, like we did last time, that we have some type of MOU or something, because there is a tendency, and you would fully understand why, and I wouldn't blame Jimmy a bit, that you continue on and just don't stop at the county line. That we have some kind of understanding that you will meet the same specifications on the other side to what we're doing. Only because this gets to be further and further and further, and I mean, I would like them to start using the Niobrara County side of the Cheyenne River Road.
And I did visit with the guy that runs the oil field down there. He said, you know, he's been trying to get them to, and trucks, you know, they're not local trucks that they use. He said sometimes that communication gets lost.
that's mileage, right? It's farther miles going the other way.
Well, I don't know. He told me it's basically a wash.
Really?
They have fixed their end of the road. They've rerouted it and fixed it. You know, if I was in a truck, I'd go, it's got the harder side.
Toll road.
Maybe a letter to the oil company saying, please direct your trucks.
Yeah, I think the landowner was going to visit. I think the owner of that company was supposed to be here this week. I think he was over there, so if they would commit to helping him gravel. You know, I would get in here since I'm in charge. We're down there every spring.
Yes.
Fixing part of that road.
You know, it's like, you know, in the Forest Service, they do a lot of their lumber sales and stuff, they specify what routes they have to use. I mean, I don't think it'd be above the oil company to specify that, hey, this is the routes your trucks use, you know. Might visit with them and say, hey, you know, you need to specify, you use these routes or your trucks don't get paid. You know, when it comes down to that, the drivers will listen. It's a fight down there.
Okay. Well, I guess I am gonna go ahead and start putting bids out for trucking over 75,000. We have to pay it out rather than just hire at our discretion. And we'll definitely exceed that. And that was gonna be my question, what do you guys want to commit to all of this? As far as what it is. There aren't too many roads in the county. I know we're not gonna get everything that needs it.
I would just start doing your eligibility forms and putting prices on them and stack them up and keep walking in here with them. But get a price on them. I mean, get all the way through. And we know that there's deviations. We understand that. But just start stacking them up. It's springtime. You're going to have lots of wonderful days if Mother Nature decides this is the way she wants to get that done. And you can't do them all at one time anyway. So just keep bringing them in and keep yourself busy.
You know, after the first set of bids come in, it'll give you a lot better idea where you're gonna be, so it'll give you a lot better on your, you know, eligibility forms, what amounts you need, so.
I guess while we were on the topic of Buffalo Creek, do you guys have any idea what the traffic load is gonna be when they get going to the plant up there?
Which one?
On Buffalo Creek through the industrial park. That's kind of another road we've pieced it out.
I can't fathom it's gonna be a tremendous
On
amount.
which project?
For that road.
That's him right there.
Here's right behind you.
He can tell you about how much trucks are gonna be coming in there. How many trucks are gonna be running in on the Buffalo Creek Road for your haul product into rivers and out?
I think to answer that question, it's going to depend on whether we haul year round or whether we haul just on summer.
Seasonal.
But even if we just hauled it in the summer only, it's going to be 6 to 8 trucks a day coming off the mountain. So that'd be 6 to 8 trucks going in there.
Not a ton of traffic, not bad then.
No. Where earth isn't like coal.
Yep.
It doesn't take a lot.
Okay, thank you. That help you, Jim?
I guess.
See how good we are?
Also, my time employee retired. You know, I have a blessing to replace him until we figure budgets or, I mean, I have enough to cover it out of the budget and help him.
You're good to go then. You've got enough in there.
Right now, if I run 5 loads, I've got 2 trucks running. We're not covering a lot of ground.
In your budget, replacing and keep going.
Yep. It's your discretion.
We are trying to do some graveling around.
Thank you.
You got something for Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I'm going to add a caveat. That's based on our design plans currently. If we're bigger, obviously.
We'll call you up if you're bigger.
I'm trying to do some spot graveling right now. I haven't been down the Dewey Road yesterday, today, and then rained out. I'm sure my phone will be ringing with this moisture. Trying to work on getting some roads bladed and usual stuff. So.
Bless you. Thank you.
Questions for Jim? Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Jim.
Hi, John. Happy motoring. We should have pulled something on you. We should have pulled something on him.
Oh, no.
I'll keep one of these for myself this time. There's 2 of these there. And then I'll also brought you guys some swag. Because, you know, no food.
Is there candy in it?
I didn't bring candy.
Cough drops?
No, oh yeah, they're cough drops, it sounds like. Jolly Ranch. Yeah, they're all good. So, those are just some of our, some of the stuff from our health fair, some of our giveaways, that we've done for health fair and stuff like that.
Well, thank you. Excuse me.
Oh, I saw that. So you have 2 forms, 2 pages in front of you. So you have 2 forms, 2 pages in front of you. The first one is just a highlight form, a Q3 highlight form. Just a few things that we've kind of had going in the last 3 months. We had the 2 open houses in January, one in Upton, one in Newcastle, so we had the opportunity to network with some community members. Commissioner Erdman was able to swing by our one in Newcastle and check out the new office and the new digs. We also had our first quarterly prevention meeting on January 16th, and we had 13 disparate community stakeholders that attended. So that was a huge success, and we actually had one of them tell me last week that because of that meeting, they were able to connect a couple of different organizations, the Children's Center and one of the churches, and they're working on kind of a closet to house like diapers and formula and some of the things that the Children's Center had a need for. So we were pretty excited to hear that worked really well as far as our partner meeting. So the next one is listed, it's listed under upcoming events, but we have one on the 17th as well. And that will be at 8 o'clock from like 8 to 10 at the public library meeting room is when that will be. We did graduate from the National Coalition Academy, even though we unfortunately weren't able to make it to DC because we couldn't get out of Rapid because of the ice and snow, and so that was a big bummer. But we're still supposed to be getting our certificate. So our new website went live on February 11th. If you have not had the opportunity to look at that, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Loom has done a fantastic job of putting together all the pieces for the coalition. In your bags, there's a little postcard, which I have, and I'll pass. I have for everybody else, but there's a QR code on there that you can use to scan for our coalition website, and then there's our contact information on the back. This is another product that Loom has put together for us. But our website has all the community resources listed with websites. We're continually adding those and editing those, so if you want to pass those out. So we're continuing a partnership with Loom. They're helping us with social media, and we'll be doing some media buys in the coming months. Our social media accounts have already I think it was the last time I looked, we were up 400%, which it wasn't real good to start with, so it's not like we have hit the moon by any means, but we're really making a huge difference in our social media with that. Upton High School Sources of Strength students, peer leaders, they partnered with FFA and did their 3rd annual, self-care seminar, they call it. So they take about an hour and a half of the school day, including lunch, and they rotate through and do different strength-based activities. All of the staff at Upton High School and the students participate in that. So it's a school-wide thing. And then Newcastle Sources of Strength Peer Leaders provided 4 different strength-based breakout sessions for the freshmen and sophomores during the career and trade fair in March. And so that was something new, and they were really excited about doing that. And then you'll see upcoming events and doing an in plain sight training for 4-H leaders on April 6th. That really talks about concealment opportunities for young people, specifically, and things just for adults and trusted adults and mentors, leaders to kind of be aware of. And then we have our coalition meetings, and then our monthly partner meeting also listed on there. So, yes, ma'am.
Christy, will you explain to them, the concealment thing is really intriguing. And so I don't know if anybody on this board fully understands. I was blown away of some of the concealment. If you could just elaborate on that, because it was amazing.
Yeah, so we have, as a part of, it was actually a project we did, I did the Wyoming Department of Health, but all of the counties have them now. We have in plain sight backpacks, and they actually just have a variety of different items in them to kind of be aware of things that people, especially young people, can use to conceal items in plain sight. So some of the latest ones I have are an Arizona pecan that you take the top off of, and can stash all kinds of good things in there. I have a power bank, like a phone charging power bank that is a concealment device. Water bottles, I have a whole bunch of new ones, Marty, that you haven't even seen. Deodorant sticks, Axe, aerosol cans, shaving cream cans, a variety of things. And so the way we ideally use that tool is just to have, like, the 4-H leaders will go through that backpack and kind of see if they can identify the things that maybe they should be looking for, or things that they might miss, just to be aware of. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's some pretty wild stuff. And the most wild thing is that you can just buy it right off of Amazon and no one asks. So you just throw it in your cart and check out, and they're really pretty inexpensive as well. So yeah. But so if you're interested in that, the 4-H leaders are going to be doing a training, or give me a holler, and you're welcome to stop by anytime, and I can show you all my stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. The next thing you have is a proposal for the problem gambling funds. Something that we had talked about probably about a year ago. As we've talked about it as a coalition at some of our coalition meetings, an opportunity for the coalition to be involved in that process. And so as I kind of went through what we had reviewed about a year ago as far as the stakeholders within the community when we had a meeting, and then the coalition, these are some things that we kind of talked about. Just proposing that the strategic prevention framework model be used, just like we use it when we, with all of our community prevention grant dollars that come through the commissioners or come through the clerk's office, as well as our drug-free communities federal dollars with substance use and addiction, so that we can kind of weave that problem area in with the other things that we address with substance use, mental health, and suicide. That a standing work group basically be created as a part of the 21 Wellness Coalition to guide the use of those funds on an annual basis, which would consist of coalition members, myself or the community prevention specialist, whoever that is at the time, and a representative from the Weston County Board of Commissioners. And then the function of that work group would be to assess the nature of the problem in our communities on an ongoing basis, build capacity amongst stakeholders within our communities, plan and implement strategies to address problem gambling, advise on the use of funds, including media and education, and organize and facilitate training and learning events. The work group would report to the Weston County Commissioners on a quarterly basis. And then the final piece of that is that the funds allocated to address problem gambling would reside in the prevention management line item of the county budget, which is where our community prevention grant dollars flow in and out of anyway. We already have that line item there. And then be spent directly from that line item as needed. So rather than, the total amount be sent to like Weston County School District number 7 per se, because that's like who our community prevention grant dollars run through. Those funds would just stay in that line item, and then we would, do vouchers or whatever as that money was spent to spend that money down on an annual basis.
So advertising, you have the newspaper voucher out through that.
Right, yeah. And they're really, with that, I think there's $6,000 and some dollars. It's really a pretty small amount, and really truly, which is why it would just be easier to do that line item rather than talk about indirect costs and all of those kind of things with using a different fiscal agent like we do with our other grants. Really as using that framework to assess the issue to start with and where we want to start with education. That's that's the base layer, and then build from there. So.
Question for you, Chris, you already have the line items already established?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where our community prevention grant dollars come in, and then they go right back out through that line item. Right, that's the name of it, Becky.
We already have a line item for the problem gambling. It already has.
So it already has its own
the grant line item. We had to.
But it's separate from hers.
Yes, it's separate from the.
So we wouldn't even have to do that. Right. Yeah, we could just leave it right in there.
It'd be real easy to track it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are we still getting money a couple times a year into the
No,
capital
we
fund?
get it once a year, and we've gotten the second one already, and that's going off.
This 6,000?
The second amount that we received was a little over 5,000.
Well, we want to work something with 21 Wellness to establish that relationship between us, or that line item, and their strategy for spending that. Is that what we need to do? Yes, Ms. Hubert.
I guess I have a couple concerns about that. Number one, I would feel more comfortable with some kind of itemized costs instead of just having the money available ongoing. And the other thing is, if we make this agreement with one group, that cuts out anybody that comes in the future that may have a better idea, or I don't know, it just cuts out anyone else being able to ask for that money. So that's a concern of mine, that we tie it up ongoing. It doesn't seem quite right.
Can I answer that? So first of all, I mean, the money wouldn't be spent without it, first of all, being decided on by the group, which there would be a representative of the commissioners on there to help facilitate that conversation. It wouldn't just be like me saying, we need to spend, $5,000 doing XYZ. It would be that work group, but that's why we requested a commissioner to be a part of that, so that's that conversation. And there's also community members and stakeholders who are part of the coalition. They would be a part of that work group. So it would be, anyone would be willing to come to the coalition, and anyone is welcome to be a part of the coalition and be a part of that conversation. As far as the budget piece goes, like what we did last time was we had that work group who came up with a plan and said, here's how they felt like the money would be best spent, and then brought that to the commissioners. So I would perceive that would be the way we would do that. That's the way we have to run our grant, our community prevention grant. We don't just get to say randomly we want to spend $30,000 on something. We have to have a budget on an annual basis and a plan of work to go with that, which I would presume would be the same way we would do this. That's how that framework works.
I guess I also have a problem with the commissioner being on the board and making the decisions. We don't have commissioners on other boards making financial decisions. That seems like something that would be a conflict of interest or,
There's two of them right here.
well, that's true. That's true.
I would personally love to have a county commissioner at every one of my coalition meetings. And most counties, I mean, to be honest, have a commissioner representative on their coalition who attends all functions and all meetings. So we're the anomaly there.
I like the idea of this because this to me is a more of a whole healing method of using these funds in multiple different facets of the community instead of just going either to media or some other avenue. And I like that it's I think it's in the right hands. What your group is designed to do is to use these funds appropriately within a county and deviate those funds however necessary. I don't like being the person deciding where these funds necessarily go, to be honest with you, because you know more than I do where these funds would be best utilized.
And I'm not saying they don't. I'm just thinking if we tie the funds up with one group and another group comes to us for some reason, then what happens?
Well, we tried that last time and the group that came first got the funds.
But I mean, it could be somebody we don't know yet. It could be something that happens. I'm just trying to be fair.
My thought on that is that's why I like, and I could be wrong, but that's what I like about 21 Wellness is it gives that opportunity for any group to come to 21 Wellness and ask for a portion of those funds. And I believe last year that proposal allocated almost half of those funds to advertising, didn't it? Amongst other things.
I know Nick was a part of that conversation.
And I'm only saying that because that's the only other outfit that came.
We did like, I think that was like right around $1,000-ish, maybe a little bit more, that went to training with the Wyoming Problem Gambling Council. And then everything else we kind of divided in between all three media outlets within the county, just with some creative things too, I think, like,
but with that being
media and stuff.
Said too, though, I mean, we can't encumber some future board to say that somebody's got a better idea. And, I mean, if somebody comes down the road a year or two from now and it's a better plan than what 21 Wellness puts together, I think we can pull the rug out from underneath 21 Wellness at any point in time and say, I'm sorry, these funds are now going to be going, this group has a better plan to manipulate that money into the county however they see fit that best serves residents. So, I don't know. Yes, Mr. Urban.
Well, I like the thought of it because that's what they do.
Yeah.
The distribution, I mean, that's the whole idea behind what the group is.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donut. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
The distribution, I mean, that's the whole idea behind what the group is 21 Wellness. So whichever fraction, and we're just talking about gambling funds right now, but that fraction is part of that whole. And that's what they do. There's no other thing involved than the wellness of our county. And so I'm okay with it.
Well, and I think if you look at, if you look at the stakeholders who are involved in the work that we do, it includes law enforcement, media, schools, probation and parole, public health, mental health agencies, the Children's Center, the University of Wyoming Extension. So there's Weston County Health Services. So there's a broad variety of people who represent the community and our county within that group, both from Upton and Newcastle. So.
I like the idea of going to 21 Wellness. I mean, they're in touch with all these groups that know what the needs are for the community. You know, and then there's nothing against it. Some other agencies like, oh, this has come up with us. You know, could we partner with you and have part of this money? I mean,
Absolutely.
It's not all dedicated just to one thing. It can be spread out to many different organizations.
Well, I mean, really, truly, the coalition doesn't really get anything out of funds other than it's not like any money is going anywhere that goes directly to the county. It's just a matter of someone to help facilitate, a group to help facilitate conversation and determining where that might best be spent at the given moment.
0% of these dollars are becoming revenue for 21 Wellness.
We have no way to keep track of that money. We have no way to take revenue, so.
Or anybody that's working there. Go ahead, Leah.
Well, and I don't have a problem with that. I think misunderstanding. I think there should be, if there's not something upfront how you're spending the money, then somewhere it'd be nice for us to get some kind of statement as to where it's going or how it's been used. So quarterly or even annually, just so we have something, and have it not open-ended to go on forever. Perhaps it should be an agreement that's from year to year.
Well, we will every month have a voucher in front of us where the money went to.
Well, that's true.
You know, it's where it's going, and it is not open-ended because it's not going to every month, every year, not going to get the we have to decide every year where this money goes. So I mean, we're going to have a very good accounting system of where it went to and tracking system.
That's true.
And to add to that, there's obviously going to be a discussion because you will have a meeting of how that money and towards what, and those ideas will be bounced because the best people in those environments will have their input and can determine where the best place for that type of exposure would be. And I think that's you've got twofold there then, not only.
Do you think that quarterly meeting with the county commissioners that you have proposed on here would kind of be a balloon of that as well? I mean, this is where those monies are. Granted, we've seen the vouchers, but this is where it's hit.
Absolutely. I mean, it could really be whatever you would want. Initially, I would think that if this were to be decided how this would operate is in the first quarter, so from April to June, we would, initiate that group and that work group and have that group to get together and kind of come up with a plan of how they feel like that, assess whatever they see is happening in the community and come up with a plan as to what they think that should look like. And then in that first report then would be exactly that, a breakdown of this is where the group feels that the money should be spent in XYZ, with the ability to maybe change that and update it as they went. But then from on a quarterly basis after that, very easily, besides the vouchers, know what was spent where and what the results have been. And there would have to be some kind of reporting. That's grants 101 is you can't just spend money and not know what you're getting out of it. So you've got to have some kind of report to provide that, whether it's the number of hits on a social media post or, the number of ads we run in the newspaper and then how many people we reach that way or, whatever that looks like, there would be some kind of reporting nature. Because if we're gonna be stewards of the money that the state is giving us in grant dollars, there has to be some kind of reporting system for that.
And that's what I'm asking,
Sorry.
is are we, some kind of reporting back to us. My concern is, how deep as a board, we wanna get involved with another group, that's independent from us right now.
I would be okay with a board member sitting on it. I think it would be somebody that's interested in serving in that capacity. If they were willing to do it, I would encourage them to. All right. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right. I guess what I was gonna say is that even in commissioners' comments, that could be, if those people had been to that meeting, you give an overview of what happened. I think that what sometimes happens and people get fearful of is they keep pointing a finger at, well, as a commissioner, what do you think? Well, that necessarily isn't always what happens. What happens is you are present to listen and to, once again, add a different element to it, but not as to be the governing body, because you are not the governing body. But if you have that attentive place there, I think you're keeping a thumb on it.
Well, from my perspective, because of the community prevention grant dollars come from the state of Wyoming to the county, they have to, by statute, go through the county commissioners and the county clerk's office. There's no way around that. So having someone who just is aware of what's happening and how we're utilizing those dollars and the good that they're doing in our communities makes sense to me. Because then we also have a voice when it comes time for the legislature to go, well, we don't really need to support the 988 Lifeline, or we don't really need to support, substance use prevention in our schools or whatever, because we can't do anything. We can't do anything but educate, but representatives in our community can. And so that's just another voice. And it doesn't matter if it's the problem gambling funds or if it's our community prevention grant dollars. Having that perspective is important.
Put it in more.
So do we want to move forward today with?
I think we could, if we want to. And neat thing to me, I guess, is if there is a board member that's involved with this correctly, that'd be a great place for, if they feel that these monies maybe would be better allocated differently, then a report would be readily available back to this board, and we then formulate a different game plan on how to use this. But I like the fact that the people asking for it are in the business of dealing with this kind of stuff. And,
Do we have an exact amount what's in there?
$6,114.05.
I would make a motion that we allocate the $6,114.05 to the 21 Wellness Coalition. That'd be for gambling addiction education.
Could I ask that? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
Just that the motion be that the 21 Wellness Coalition would facilitate the expenditure of the funds or something like that. Just because we don't want the money in a sum. We just want to help facilitate the best use of the funds.
Can I strike that motion? I'd make a motion that 21 Wellness facilitates the expenditures of the $6,114.05 for the gambling addiction. Is that better?
Second.
Okay, we got a proper motion on the floor for the second discussion. Go ahead.
As of what we gave out last year, where we did, I've seen no reporting on where that went. So I'd like the idea that we're going to see where the vouchers, what it actually went to each entity, how it was itemized out. See the reporting would be a lot better on it.
I kind of understand Vera's concerns with this, and I would say that I would encourage if other entities are out there, don't be dissuaded by going to 21 Wellness and asking for this money. If you have a good idea, go to 21 Wellness and ask for this money to help to advertise for. If you've got to be a part of the conversation, if you've got a good plan to use these funds in our community, I'm super supportive of it, I guess. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that, and because that's part of my concern. So if they can come to you, that would be great. My other concern still is I feel like we're putting a relationship in there between our budget and a group that isn't in our budget. It's different. You're on the airport board, you're on solid waste. Those are things that are in our budget and we have responsibility for, and we have the relationship with the boards already. It's a different, I may not be saying that right, Ed, but it's a different thing here where we're now letting someone just put vouchers in that we don't have a relationship with this board per se. They're not in our budget, so I still have a concern there.
The solid waste board, that's a total separate budget.
Right, and like I said, I'm probably not saying that properly, and I wish I could say it the way I'm concerned about it.
Your feelings aren't coming out.
They're not coming out right, yes.
And I think part of it is it's pass-through funds. I mean, our grant dollars from the state of Wyoming are pass-through funds, and they put counties in a very awkward position, and the state of Wyoming does a really good job of that. It's no different than the prevention grant dollars. We're going to make a statute that says, okay, they have to go through the county, and then you figure out how to spend them. And so it's very, very similar because that's all they are is pass-through funds. It's different than like a board where you have a certain amount of money, and it's just one of those really things that sounds really great when they pass it in Cheyenne, but that because it's how we do it with the prevention grant dollars, I think we have a precedent set.
And what's nice about this is we're not tied into committing this next year. If the grant money if this money doesn't come in from the gambling addiction next year, it's not there. It's not something that we're going to be tied to and obligated to every year.
I'm going to have to say there's a little better oversight than some of the funds that we get. Perhaps like public health, those grants come through here, we sign a voucher.
Yeah.
We really don't have a say whatsoever what happens in that grant. If we sign the grant form, that entity gets to spend that money the way they want to. This gives them even more oversight that if somebody's on that, if she has to make a report and we're asking, and we have another person on there, you are having a little more oversight than you did of some of these other grants that we get, that we sign, and I will guarantee you half the people don't read what that grant stipulates. And when that comes through, and we've had commissioners say, what do you mean we're buying condoms? It's a funny feeling for you. You signed the grant, you're going to buy them. So what I'm saying is we get a little more oversight. And I'm sorry if I embarrassed anybody, but that's the way this gets when you finally read a voucher and go,
We just paid for STD testing through public health.
Right.
Through that grant.
Grants are really fun.
Those vouchers just went through today.
So I think you have a little more going on here that even a voice can say, that's uncomfortable or whatever, and have that discussion in that room.
And we would like nothing more than for people from the community to be involved in all of the prevention work that we do and bring a voice to the table. Because the same 6 or 8 of us have the same, we do the same conversations. I mean, we would love for more people to come and be a part of that conversation. So maybe this will be an opening door.
Call for the question.
Let's go, with the proper second on the floor, all those in favor of approving the $6,114.05 to 21 Wellness to facilitate the expenditure out of that line item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
I'm not. I think you'll do great.
If you guys just let me know our next meeting is in April. It's up on the page because I always have the wrong date. And then we'll start that conversation, trying to recruit folks who want to be involved in that. So,
Thank you, Chrissy.
all right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may we have a 5-minute break?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
As long as that's okay with Roger, he's that, no?
Airport.
There's still
I mean, that's really what you're fighting for, is let's have actual conversations when these things happen, and let's really look for results instead of just lob political talking points at each other. Is that kind of what you're after?
Oh, yes. I have tried to engage the experts, and they're liars. I'm sorry to say, I've had the experience where they lie, and what they do is they change the name of facilities to erase the history of it. It's pretty scary, but I'm open to talking to behavioral health experts, the drug companies. I just think that they've dominated the conversation. So what I want to do is softly talk about it and say, these are the facts that I found. Where am I wrong? Nobody's ever said you're wrong about this, Sheila. And
budget discussion, airport. What do you got, Bob?
Thank you. Hold on, the right guy. We turned in a turned in a budget for you here yesterday, last week.
I'm not here this one yet.
It's just preliminary one. Don't get to the final one, but it basically mirrors what we had for last year.
We haven't gave one to the county, gave one to the city.
Oh, the city, okay. We are gonna be about $1,700 short because we had a door malfunction. Originally, we we're gonna be about $6,000 in the in the black. But the cost to have the door repaired was $7,800. So that's gonna put us now about $1,700. All right, $1,700 in the red. So we were ahead of the budget, then we had the major failure on the door, it is repaired. So we're gonna come out about $1,700 in the red.
What it did is, took the amount we had and figured in the, cost of utilities and that, and phone, and that $1,700 is just no other unexpected expenses. And, so that's kind of what we're
carrying us through till June.
In the end of June, that was all you did.
Yeah.
And, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover some of the small stuff. I went ahead and paid for some of the janitorial supplies and that kind of stuff. And a couple other little things that we'll do as hard, or work as hard as we can to keep that number. And that's half and half between the city and
yeah. That's the full amount, not your share. You're 50%.
Becky, you got a second?
So with everything that was paid this month, and so you have $5,358.14 total in your budget, and you have to take the, contract wages out, the $5,195.11. That leaves you $163.03 for the rest of the year.
Yep, and that's why we're with the utility, with using that figure and adding in the utilities. The electricity is going to be a variable, but we know exactly what the garbage and the water is going to be, and the phone bill is going to be. So with that added in, and say that there could be some fluctuation in there in the electric bill, probably going to go down. So but it'll end up to be about $1,700.
So usually you get money from the state, is that not gonna come in this time? For a grant?
That was already in the budget.
Oh, okay.
That's to finish out this year.
That's to finish out this year, yeah. Yeah, that gets us, the projected shortfall is just remaining 3 months. Some other good news, we have the contractors out working on the new hangars. They've done the dirt work. They built the forms, the rebars in it. They were supposed to be pouring concrete, but with the weather, once it dries up, everything. Projected completion date is into June. They found there's no problem with materials or anything, so hopefully by the end of June we will have 8 hangars out there. We've had a few meetings on talking about hangar rent, what charge should be for the fees for renting them out. We will have some cost with electricity for that. Still trying to decide whether we do a one fee for that or each hangar is individually charged. We haven't figured out what the way to do that is yet. And also waiting for Powder River to tell us some fees on what individual cans cost and installation of the cans and removing the mats. So we're still working that out. So we will hopefully June, so have some monies coming in from those hangar rents.
On your hangars, who's his general contractor on that?
River Construction.
Okay. That construction guy, Falcon, they did work for us out at the landfill. They're also doing some work for the city of Upton, and there's been some concerns on, they get there, then they kind of fall off their work. So out at the landfill, GRM was the general, they rode herd over them, over in Upton. They are the contractor, and Mark's over there have to write pretty hard on them. So just be aware that you may have to be out there to crack the whip on them.
Well, this Powder River, engineers are staying on.
Yeah, but if you got, if Powder River's your general, if there's any concerns, you get on them guys and they have to take care of them.
And our consultant engineers are told they will be
good
held on to that too. Good. Yes, that's.
This a concrete crew under the building too? The whole construction?
It was both.
Really?
Yeah, over at the transfer station in Upton, they was there, they threw the building up, had tiebacks on it, and then there were some very nice days, they were off doing something else, and they were way behind. And they've already had
just all exposed to the elements.
Yep, they've already had to bust out new concrete already, that had cracks in it, so.
Well, we don't need that.
But you've got Powder River on it, so they are the general, so.
They're the general, yeah, and then our consultant contractors are, I would say they're the general over the.
Yeah, so you got some guys watching them crack the whip, so good.
We've been on real hard, our contractors about, because this is a 2.5-year project that I've been very blunt with them that I don't want to have any. We didn't want this dragging, starting in April, going to July, August. This can't be, we've got it too far off. It's been too long already.
We've got 120 days from March 17th. And there's a little fluctuation. The FAA allows a little fluctuation in that for weather and stuff. But including talking to PRC, they have allotted some of that weather time in there. And, they're not gonna let these concrete guys get behind because they're gonna get that building up.
Right.
The only thing the engineers could see as far as the holdup is how long it takes Powder River Energy to get out there and get that out there. So,
Yeah.
if they're sure. But I see out there, they had the truck out there and they had the phone company out there doing some, looking at some, line locates and stuff, so.
And for the electrical contractor, we do have Toronto Electric here for town, and I've been very, very firm with them, however that, because I know the big project they've got is refinery, which is important. But I also said, this hangar project, which is a 2.5-year project, it's not a hard electrical project, it's something that 3 electricians in 2 days, if they've got the stuff, could be able to bust out. So, give us the time to do that. Don't all of a sudden say, well, we're right there, but we don't have electricians. Let's make sure they're on that. So, and they guaranteed me it'll be done. So, yeah.
Tough. The door, is it one of the bifold doors that had a malfunction and?
It's just a conventional overhead door. And it's for our equipment, building.
And it was about $7,000 to repair it.
$7,830. It wasn't a repair. They couldn't repair
installed
it.
a new one.
Oh.
It was almost 50 years old.
50 years old.
And anyway, when it went to come up, a couple of the rollers fell out. And it has an automatic opener on it. And I was in the snowplow looking at my rearview mirror waiting for it to open. And all of a sudden I noticed it was crooked. And what happened was one side slid good and the other one got hung up. And that door opener just kept pulling on it, and it bent every frame on the thing. And so when they came and looked at it, they said there was nothing. I mean, there was nothing to fix on the door, and the rails was probably what caused it, and the rails needed to be replaced. So
yeah, $1,700 is pretty negligible, I guess. At the end of the day, my only concern would be, like, if you guys had this happen again next year, or a $10,000 issue happen or something. And I know you need to get a door on something as quick as possible, but I guess I've never really dealt with something like a big repair out there that I remember where you guys need to get fixed right away, and then we maybe have to adjust a budget along with the city of Newcastle, I guess, but I don't know.
We had a local contractor we had a water leak last summer, or no, it was during the winter one. And so we had a local contractor, I won't mention their name, but they messed around, and didn't even work where the water leak was. They replaced a bunch of line. And so anyway, I went to the guy, the owner, and I said, listen, you need to come to one of our meetings then, and he decided to, what did he knock off, 6,000 or something? It only cost us.
They did not solve the problem, came out there 3 times, and then they presented us a bill with all for over $6,000.
So we try anyway
And we had to end up finally get a company from Gillette came down.
DRM came in. Yeah,
Fixed it in 1 day.
They just run another line down
1/6 of the price. And when we got all said and done, we did talk to the attorney and the city and county attorney, and talking to the owner of the business here in Newcastle, we settled for them to put the cost of their materials, the fittings they had, which is a little over $1,000. So yeah, we've had dealings with businesses in town that didn't work out. So we tried to do in town, the businesses working on this, one thing we specified, if they were in the county, in the state, or American owned, and all of that we tried to cover.
I think they see airport and they think we got a lot of money. But we're pretty much run right on the line.
Oh yeah, your small budget, and $3,500 only in maintenance plan, you're pretty limited.
Well, almost 50 years I got outdoors. We're probably pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel like you, Nathan. I hope we don't have any more of these.
Yeah, well, that's my concern.
I know where you're coming from.
What happens if it's a $20,000 fix or
Yeah.
something? Because, I don't know. So, being this close to the end of the year, I mean, how are Are you guys confident that amount is gonna solve?
We don't anticipate any other problems. I mean, from looking at what else is out there to go wrong, we had with power play at the refinery, we had a circuit board go bad. We thought it was bad. It was going to be about $1,000 fix. We went to the refinery about, hey, it costs some money. They said, well, get us on their list if the power knockout that they caused got it. We actually had a technician come out, did reset it, found out we didn't have to buy a $1,000 circuit board. It reset itself after being shut off for 5 hours. But the refinery was willing to pay. If they caused it, they would replace it. So that's something that we were working on. That was a cost we didn't have to follow, but we were looking at that as it come to you, say, hey, man, I need a $1,000 circuit board. It was for our AWOX lights, so.
Like I say, as far as anything unexpected, anything small, I'll just cover that. But you know, if that AWAS should happen to go down and the serious thing about the AWAS is when it was down, they can't come, Lifeline can't come in here and fix Wing Airplane because if they don't have official weather reporting. So that's something we need to get back up and running. Now the state is willing to give us grant money to help cover the cost of the AWAS maintenance if something like that comes up. And it's kind of on an as-needed basis. And so we can, if something happens between now and then, it's something that could probably be fixed fairly quickly, but I imagine by the time the grant is drawn up, we request money from the state and everything, the company DBT who does the work on it, they realize that we're going through this process so we can delay the payment on that, hopefully. And like I say, I just don't foresee anything, we still have a chance of getting weather where I have to go plow. I've got plenty of fuel and everything for that, and everything else down there, so I won't be purchasing any of that, so it's
well, with the pleasure of the board.
We don't have a figure.
Are we looking at 1,700 divided by 2?
850.
Is that correct, Bo?
Yeah.
Just wanted to add something quick. Just wanted to add a little, I know this topic and the AWAS issue that we had with the power surge. When, I don't know if you guys are picking up on the language, but when Tuff says that he's covering those, that means he's purchasing that out of his own pocket. The surge protector that was purchased for the AWAS to protect that was purchased along with some of the supplies. And I know that's Tuff's attempt to try to stay within budget even with the $7,800 door deal, which put us over. And that's something I want to point out. I mean, that's definitely not his responsibility, but as a manager, that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I understood that was probably the case, which that's why I asked if this is enough. I mean, if 850 won't cover it or whatever, but if you think it will.
Yeah, I'd say barring any, unexpected. I looked out and I can't see anything else.
If something major comes back to the board, I think would be.
Okay.
I don't know. You have something big go out. Stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also, there's a couple little things that can. I know there's a light fixture here and there that needs fixed, but that can all wait till the next budget. There's nothing there.
There's nothing looming on the horizon that we know, and I guess the one thing looming in the horizon that I've been on the board for 2.5 years. The first meeting I was at in the airport board, the hangar project was brought to me. It's going to be done that year. 2.5 years later, now we're finally seeing progress. I'd be like be nice to come in here in 3 months and say, hey, the hangar we talked about, they're done, they're up, we're renting them out, and revenue is coming. Now, I'm not talking millions of dollars, but it's a plus, you know? And then there's other avenues we can look at down the road for this, when we have $850 bill. If you have 8 hangars rented for it, that's a month. It's not coming to you, hey, where can you find $850?
Believe me, Bob, if $850 was everybody's problem, that'd be
I guess a question for the board, do we want to do a budget adjustment like on this one, or do we want to wait till we're a month or so down and do one budget adjustment? Because we're gonna have a couple of them.
They won't make it. They only own $163.
So we need to do a judgment budget adjustment now.
Did you say budget?
Yeah. Budget adjustment.
financial admin.
Yeah, there's not much left in there,
It's there though.
but it's there. We took 5 out of the last one.
Yeah, there's 66,000 left.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion if there's, they would like to make one.
So moved, we take that as financial admin.
Got a motion properly seconded on the floor, table for $850. We're sticking with, to be pulled out of financial admin and added to
Ask tough water.
what account though? What account would you like it in? Got maintenance account?
Yeah, either,
Repair and maintenance or?
yeah, that or, utility, to have them, that's the other one.
Because utilities, you still have,
Yeah, but, yeah, probably, they're just regular.
I mean, because it's not gonna matter, just as long as you're over in the overall budget, because you can still pull out of whichever account you want.
Yeah, just building repair and maintenance, or general repair and maintenance is fine then.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Yes.
I'll recuse myself from voting on this one.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Yes.
I'll recuse myself from voting on this one.
Any other discussion? Those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Opposed?
Who made the motion?
If you
I
did,
made the motion.
Marty second.
Sorry.
Okay. Thanks. Good.
If I could just add one thing, I hope I'm not stepping on from our planning board here, our airport board here. I just want to plant the seed that we're going to look at down the road here. When the eight hangars are done, and these are not figures locked in stone, it's just something we've thrown around. If we get as little as $125 a month rent from each hangar, and that's the smallest amount we'd ever ask for, 125. And they're all rented. That's $1,000 a month, times the 12 months, that's $12,000 a year revenue that the airport would generate back to the county. Now, one avenue to do that would be to put that as a side asset or inline for a budget like a $1,200 or $700 or $850 cost to an airport, that if we have, we've got a door problem, it comes out of, takes out of that, where you don't have to delve into where do you guys get $700 or $800? We have it, and after a year's time, if there's still money left of this $12,000, then say there's $4,000 taken out for airport expenses, $8,000 goes to the county fund. that's an avenue we could use the funds for without really addressing so much hassle for the county commissioners. I'm just laying it out there now for a thought to think about, you guys.
Aren't you allowed to have a reserve account?
I don't know what you want to call it. I'm just saying, of all the boards you have, I don't even know if the fair board generates any income now, but the airport with this hangar project now, if they are in it, will generate some revenue that will help sustain some of the cost of the airport, be it electricity, be it water, be it whatever.
Well,
thank you.
Thanks.
It's something to think about.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Have a good one.
As you see, we're all getting on triple.
Oh, yeah.
We should get the change.
Roger, you're up. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thought I'd come and give you an update on where we're at. I don't know how many of you saw our press release last week that came out. Explain that a little bit and talk about where we're at with the plan. And the EXIM letter of intent or interest is the Export-Import Bank of America, which is a government agency, actually, or government. So they basically have committed $553 million to our expansion. And the reason that it's a letter of interest rather than full-blown commitment is because we're not permitted. And until we're permitted, it won't be, but it's there. We had people in Washington week before last. We had several of our officers and board members back here, and they met with multiple secretaries and undersecretaries, one thing or another. The thing we're most pleased about is the commitment of the Trump organization and administration to this project. And they know about this project specifically. And we've talked about it before, the interest is it's the only thing going outside of what China's got. So we are high on their list, high on their priority list, the way they put it. We have people back there again this week. We have people going next week for more meetings. And so, in fact, one of the meetings in the West Wing. So there's a lot going on right now, and a lot of interest about fast tracking what's happening. So I think the other thing that actually happened while our people were back there is the executive order that Trump did that immediate measures to increase American mineral production. And federal agencies, including EXIM, to unlock permitting, funding, and overtake agreements for critical rare minerals, and including rare earths. So it also addresses fast tracking permits, mobilize capital for mineral producers that create, and offtake agreements for strategic stockpiling, et cetera, So the commitments there, we're really happy about that, and they've got us coming back and forth, and they want a lot of information. So we're looking forward to that. The fact that they make that commitment, shows the interest that they have in the project. We are in the middle, or not in the middle, we're pretty much have tested our equipment and tested our systems and one thing or another. And we're still working on that because right now we're looking at the new startup date is going to be mid-2025 or later. probably mid 2025 this summer timeframe. And the reason for that is we've got some process upgrades that we can put in place now because of, well, we've been going through this almost year and a half delay. We've continued to develop our processes. And after we've tested, we have determined that now is the better time to put those processes, those upgrades in place, rather than start processing, have all the systems filled with acid and solutions, and have to take care of that, before we can do an upgrade. So we've decided we're going to do the upgrades now because it's things that are going to help our process. So that's what we're doing now. And I was out there this morning. We're already working on putting those things in place. It's going to take a little time, so it has set us back. And there's other things that we found when we were working on doing our testing and inspection. We did a full-blown inspection of everything. And some of the design stuff, and when engineers put drains on lines and they're up here, it's not a good thing. They need to be. So we're addressing all that those kind of issues, and just little safety issues. Some are convenience issues. Some are process issues. Where in the flow lines of 90 degree bends where we don't want that 90 degree turn. So things that we found and are going to be addressed. These upgrades are going to be addressed, and then at that point we're off and running. And then we'll also be, as I said before, once we start processing and we got our tweaks done, we'll start working toward our permitting process. We already are. We're working on lots of things. We haven't applied for any new permits, and we won't quite yet, but we're working on everything that we need, the groundwork to do that. So that part sounds a little negative, but we're actually very optimistic about what's going on. Very optimistic about the support we've got. So that's kind of where we're at today.
Thank you, Rodney.
I got a couple questions. Is, when the permitting process starts up again, is there anything we can do to help? On our
Believe me, we will let you know.
Okay. I mean, that's
and we really anticipated that, by this late summer, this fall, we'd be working on the permitting process. And I think that may got pushed out a little bit now, but maybe not. I mean, the whole fast track attitude that we see in Washington, and the fact that the Trump administration don't want to be dependent on only one source, and that source is our number one adversarial enemy, I guess you could say. And so we're really pleased about that. Pleased about the fact that we're going back there again, and they want us back there. So if there is anything, we will let you know. And that's another reason why I want to keep you all of you up to speed on where we're at, what's going on, good, bad, whatever. I'm going to be here telling you where we're at, what's happening, and but we're really optimistic and feel good about where we're at right now. So
the other question, with the funds that have kind of been committed, if that project goes, that'll have to go in front of the Industrial Siting Council, won't it, for that big of a project?
Will it what?
Go in front of the Industrial Siting Council?
I couldn't answer that. But
like the big wind farms, that stuff, those big projects, they have to go in front of them. Like this one, I don't know if they have to go in front of them or not.
I'm not sure this one does because it's not, there's kind of a narrow window of what goes in front of them.
And I'm not sure this fits in that parameter, but we have to go look.
There are a lot of federal agencies and councils and one thing or another that
I guess the training process, they say if that's going from the industrial side council.
they existed 3 months ago, they don't exist now.
Right.
So with that new council that they created to bring everybody together and review these things and get them done instead of making them 2 to 3 year projects for every single department is made a huge difference, and we believe it's going to make a big difference. You'll see some announcements. One thing we know, you'll see some announcements in the next probably few days about some projects that have been held up for years. You know, the steel project in Michigan, and Rosemont copper mine. Those things have been held up, pipelines that have been held up. You're going to see, I think in the next few days, they're all going to be let go and funded, some of them, because it's critical. They consider it critical issues, critical elements. So, which I'm glad to see. So they're focusing on us and not everybody else for a change. So that's what I've got for you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good, Gary. I honestly don't, other than a little bit of the research that I've done on rare earth and the discussion of it, I don't know very much about it. I'm excited about it because there's a lot of talk about it, but I really don't know much about it. I don't know some things that I'm interested in is do we have any forecasted dollar amount that we could be producing out of this mine?
Really market driven.
That's hard to tell.
Profitable.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere's in this range from this dollar amount to this dollar amount, or how many jobs it's going to be producing.
We know our intent, and preliminary, the CEO mentioned to Chip Nyman and Bill Biden and that group when we were up there that our plant, as planned today, would probably have about 150 people in it once it's done. You know, in our mine, you're looking at probably about 50 people. So, it may get better. I mean, it may stay the same. It's just, I think the jury's out on that. I think there's a lot of situations worldwide that are going to drive that. I mean, one of the commitments that they've asked for is the elements that we develop here in the United States, whether it be copper or steel or what we do. One of the things that Trump's administration is after that our allies will have access to that, so that they're not so. So we can, as far as rare earth, if you go on our site, you'll see a lot about it. It's not going to give you dollars, and I don't think anybody will. And if I tried to, somebody would be feeling lightning about that. But because, like I say, it is market driven, and we'll see where it goes. But it's certainly a profitable business, or we wouldn't be in it. Right. Frankly. It's also critical to a lot of what GA does, General Atomics.
And I was under the understanding that somebody or a group of individuals had to determine that it is valuable or viable to do. And I'm kind of thinking back a little bit to, I don't want to drag this out too long, but the company that was presented from Colorado, and they want to clean up the Black Hills and make fuel out of pine needles and things, and so it really sounds great. Clean up the hills and you don't have any brush laying around that could be a fire hazard and things like that. When you really started combing everything back and you find out that it was not a sustainable business, and the numbers proved it, and it was definitely federally funded in order to sustain life. Interesting that it was brought from Colorado up to Wyoming when they got trees in Colorado also. So I like to get down to the nitty gritty and say if somebody had to decide, it was definitely worth putting the money into them.
But if you look at everything that rare earth magnets and all of the other minerals are used for, or elements, it certainly isn't going to go away. It's not something that's going to disappear. And the demand for it, and the demand has been there, and the demand has grown. I think a couple of years ago, there was 120,000 tons that were processed rare earths used in the world. And last year was 140,000. I mean, it doesn't sound like much because we're only used to the coal mines.
Right. Millions of tons.
Million tons a month goes out of one mine, but it's for a week. But it is a lot when you consider what it is and how little it takes to do what they do with it. So.
Go ahead.
One thing I think is kind of intriguing about, like you say, the magnets. You don't need a 50,000 square foot warehouse to build them. They're so small. I mean, a small would like a shop can actually manufacture them because it doesn't take that. It's such a small amount. You know, I think the opportunity is
like the ones in the computer.
You know, the opportunity
is very small.
Is out there for us.
Roger, last time that we went through this, a few years ago, there was a debate of whether it was going on the stock market, if they came up with an ability for rare earths to go on the stock market. Has that ever occurred?
You mean the actual rare earth elements themselves? I don't know. I mean, we're on the stock market.
Right.
Like
the
commodities market.
Like a commodities market.
The elements themselves. Well, once it's a commodity that we produce here,
who knows?
There's going to be a lot of interest.
Right.
So, and the administration is interested in the fact that we will process for others. Also, our plant could be built anywhere. If there was a need, quantity-wise, for more, we could build a plant in Georgia. Because there's rare earths down there, or wherever, But that's just our plant that we have planned will certainly supply a lot of the needs. Our plant that we have planned will certainly supply a lot of the needs, but it certainly won't do all the world needs. So
then shut it down. We're done.
Artificial intelligence is a major driving factor for rare earth elements. Artificial intelligence and the equipment needed to build these huge AI plants are going to require huge amounts of rare earth elements, along with energy. They're a bigger consumer of energy than we'll ever experience in our lifetimes. These artificial intelligence coal, they're going to need coal, they're going to need a lot of power plants because the energy that they require is huge.
People burning Teslas is a major contributor to
I burnt mine.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For our area, for our little corner of the state here, I think it's a great deal, and I think it's some real opportunities.
Well, we're excited.
Very excited.
We're very excited, and also to have you as a member of our community. You know what I mean? To be an integral part of being partners in certain things. And so it's exciting when we have little things, like we just had a meeting about, EMS districts and things, like, hospitals, and when we get new partners in that can help us with stuff like that, we're excited too. We might even put a load of gravel down, but don't push it with us.
I understand, and so we do appreciate the support that we have always done from this commission. And look forward to working together for a lot of years.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for the update.
You bet. Thank you all. Good to see
Bye,
you.
Roger.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'm gonna ask something from the board, because the next thing is an executive session, which is basically to discuss a employee review kind of deal. We move that to the end of the meeting and let these poor people move on with their lives today.
I have no problem with
I
that.
have no problem with that.
And even, I don't care if you guys want to take a break and then do it, whatever.
What's your for that, mister?
Okay, so we'll skip that for now. Old business, update from LGLP on the county.
So I just had messaged Andrea, the lady that I talk to all the time, and I just said, good afternoon, I have a quick question for you. The board would like me to find out if you approve of and would defend our county handbook. This was written by the county attorney, and a commissioner indicated that this was given to you for approval, but the board would like to make sure. She said, hi Becky, I don't approve entity handbooks. However, in the past I have reviewed, submitted comments, and suggestions including best practices. We recommend that your county attorney review the final draft and follow any approval process by your counsel to ensure I don't miss anything, since I don't give legal advice. I believe the last time I reviewed the handbook was in 2022, and updates occur frequently. Of course, your liability coverage includes a defense if a litigation attorney is needed, and we would pay a judgment made against a member according to LGLP's coverage limits. We recently began offering access to an employee handbook builder template in a contract with Business Legal Resources. This resource and tool offers the latest law updates and includes notifications in the account for you and your county attorney to review periodically to assist with keeping your handbook up to date. I have included a memo on the policymaker project so you can share with everyone. If interested, or if you would like more information, please let me know and I'll establish your access to an account for this valuable resource. I hope this answers your inquiry, and thanks for reaching out.
So I got a hold of Jeannie because I'm a little offended that I tried to give you the information, and we've gone over it several times in the last year that we're doing this. She has a lot of emails back and forth with LGLP during last year when we were doing all of this, sending in our handbook to them to look at. And like I said, and like she said, they cannot approve legally, they can't approve a handbook because that makes them liable for handbooks. They can't approve it, but they did go through it with us. That we sent them the handbook, they went through, made suggestions to make sure it was legal, to make sure everything in there. We didn't have anything that was illegal in there. A couple of things they felt were too long that Jeannie cut back, and so they were totally involved in the process. We talked to Mr. Racine and the lady, I can't remember, and Jeannie was really busy upstairs, so she said she has them. She would get them to us, the emails, if somebody wanted to look at them to see who we talked to and the full conversation as it was going on.
I'd like to see us explore the review process or whatever. Yeah, I'd like to see us explore that.
But they did review it.
I just would like to see us explore it, please, thank you. Because the comment was made that there are updates all the time and different things happen.
And that would be up to us to do updates as we see things. We already saw something right away that we looked at that probably needed to be updated. it's up to us, and it's our responsibility to go through it and do updates yearly or whatever.
So I want to piggyback the library, the fairgrounds onto this too. That's what they've got going on. And so if we're gonna delve into this, I think we need to delve into that. And has Mallow developed some sort of their own as well that they're using, or are they just following what the board handed them?
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, but I haven't been associated with it since Ted has left, is they had the counties, of course, and then had
A supplemental of some sort.
well, if I use the wrong word, I'll get my head chopped off. So whatever the addition is.
So
Marty, I will forward you that email.
Thank you.
Who else did you say? No, fairgrounds.
can't believe it. I don't think anybody else is doing that.
The sheriff's office has a supplement.
Yeah, they would.
So what Road and Bridge? Although, Mr. Chairman, assessors have different rules for certain things, and I think they're the most of them.
I mean, your handbook is basically to make sure that we're covering all our governmental things like ADA and, all those things that we need to cover. And then everything else is pretty much basic guidelines. And then these other departments certainly have different issues that don't go across the board.
Put it on the radar and then we'll get is that what we want to do? Like, I'd like to, I don't know, is the fairgrounds supplied this with what they have currently with, so let's get them to bring us what they have. And get it on the next agenda, if they can provide it, we can delve through it a little bit, because it's nothing that our county attorney approved. They have nothing to stand on.
I thought in my minutes, I'll have to look back, that you guys told them not to have that. I'm pretty sure, I'll look again. And I thought Michael. I'll go through my minutes again.
That's certainly, well, I believe Michael said if they have their own, didn't he kind of say if it's separate from the county one, then it puts him in a position where he can't back that because.
I mean, pretty much the whole purpose of a handbook being shot completely down, if every entity, and we'll just take one for instance, but if every entity decides that it's inappropriate for whatever, it should be appropriate for all departments, and then fine-tuned individual clauses or whatever per department. But it bothers me if we've got purposefully a handbook created aside from the one that our attorney has approved. That's just, there's no purpose in a handbook. Like, really, if everybody wants to just make their own.
And maybe those amendments are added into the handbook, and this is the handbook, and it says in here, and under subsection C, the fair board has these sets deals, and then we try to delve through what those might be that would deviate from what would not be included. I guess, I don't know what that would be, but it might be something.
I think it's important on our end to design that, make sure that handbook is designed and appropriate for all departments. And then it's up to the discretion of those department heads to say, This is a sheet that fine tunes along with our handbook that is specific to our department. But to pull this out and create one that we're going to live by doesn't seem very appropriate for the department, knowing that we're still responsible for that.
What else got anything on that? Edward? Library update.
I sent you all an email. I don't know if you all got it. 4,700 if you want to glycol the library. And I just sent you 2 more emails today. We can delve into those in the next meeting. They're on the digging out and resealing of the library electrical.
And that was for up to 30 gallons?
Yes, sir. It'd be $50 per gallon more if it went over the 30. So that would make it to where the library's boilers aren't going to explode if we have an extended power outage.
Yeah, he just sent this one a couple hours ago, right?
Yeah, I just got Mason's in, so. I can forward them all to you, Becky. It's that bad.
Well, I knew about it.
I didn't know that. You gotta let me know.
I still kind of have an issue the way that our bids are coming in. I mean, it's like they're heading in a great direction with some itemized and being like, yeah, this is what we need. And nothing really has changed on any of these bids. Like looking at this one from, not that I'm, I see down in the latter part, it did have a breakdown of if there was a need for more, it was going to be $50 per gallon. There isn't any, it just says labor necessary to complete installation.
So it'd be the plumber piping in the glycol lines into the boiler.
Right. Somehow, some way, something had to be used to come up with a dollar amount for the labor. I would like to see how many hours that was figured with. I mean, I can do the subtraction of it, but for one, I don't know what a 6 gallon automatic glycol feeder costs. That doesn't have that on there. Feeder piping material, I know that we need some. How much of that or what the cost of that is, I have no idea. And this was the issue. It's not your problem. It's what I'm getting to.
No, I can get a hold of Ryan and ask him those details.
Yeah, and that was the whole reason why we needed like itemized.
Yeah, that's David Library.
I'm looking for bids that come in to pennies. I mean, it says $4,700. What I'm assuming that is if we approved something like that, then whoever presented the bid is definitely going to do that job for that dollar amount that was approved by the board. My question is when you get competitive bids, is there a padded bid thrown in there? Or are we paying an extra $800 in case it takes this amount, but it took this amount, and so we still get paid for this? Those are the things that I want to look at on a bid. So, and it's not just, it's for every bid. This is the whole purpose of these discussions. But I saw those bids coming in, even the one that you sent this morning, they're very vague. And anytime something's vague, I question it. Right. Because if somebody comes in and this thing's itemized out and be like, hey, there ain't nothing, it's all right there. Comes out to X amount of dollars, whatever that might be. It's all there to the penny. So there's too many things to when we look at it, it might be maybe real world repair and going somewhere else, it might be twice the money. I don't know. I just want to know what the itemized bill is.
And that's great. I can get a hold of each of the 3 that I sent you, and I'll get them to see if I'll get that itemized one.
I just want to.
That was like the ones that seal the libraries, like, what do we seal them with? Tarp, or we put some kind of good.
There's a sealing coating paint they would use, but
Yeah, but I mean,
I
it's
get what you're
just,
saying.
you know, the name brand of it, so if we wanted, we can actually research what brand is it, you know,
Right.
what's the warranties and stuff on it, you know, what's the manufacturer's warranties versus what they're throwing out for, you know. Appreciate getting the bids. They're just a little vague.
No, that's fine. I can get a hold of Bucky and Mason and Ryan Walker over Powder River, and I'll tell them what we need.
Did we create the bid sheet, like, that gets presented to possible bidders?
I thought we had it pretty well hammered out.
I thought so too.
Have you
I've
seen
never
it?
heard of it since I started.
Okay.
We may need to address that too. We started that
Might be our
project, and I
fault
think
on
it
that
may
one,
have just fell through the crack right here.
Yeah, because I've never seen the bidding sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last fall, we were doing
It'd be fair to him.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be.
We're asking him these things, it'd be nice for him to have a copy of that.
Wait, go get the memo we didn't send you.
Right.
Yeah, when we put together was a list of
Wants on
10 or
it.
15 things that like, and some of them may not even apply, you know.
Right.
But if you can provide any of those 10 or 15 things, we would prefer that you do. And it was stimulated from the paint on the cupola. Was there any warranty implied, you know, things like that. That's why we started that apparently.
What kind of paint was it?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I don't know, I think we started getting too in depth and then we just stopped because it was like grants and then this.
I think it
and
got
you
kind of
guys
mixed
just
in with
stopped.
Cam,
Yeah.
and we kind of stopped.
So it's like, why are, how much are you gonna dictate something?
That's on
And then
us.
That is on us.
I'll double check.
Well, I know we did it first or second meeting, actually.
Yeah.
That was still in the works, but haven't heard since.
So maybe if you can dig that up, Becky. I know I have a paper copy somewhere. I don't know that it was ever officially decided that. I thought we were close.
We were close and then we just kind of got sidetracked.
It's not gonna be hard, we'll all be coughing here. Thanks a lot.
Preserve cough for one thing.
And I'm gonna use my long pen too.
I'm sorry that we're kicking this can on you.
It's all right. I'll get a hold of them and see what they'll give me back, and I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, we'll see if we can get something.
We'll actually get you something to look at too.
Yeah, prior and.
Thank you for your patience.
You're fine. But y'all have my email now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Can we put that on old business for our next meeting?
Yeah, lower portion of ramp.
Yeah, Garrett, we had asked, Nick needs some guidance. Yeah, Garrett, we had asked, Nick needs some guidance.
I did stop and take some pictures of that outside this morning. Trying to figure out what Nick wants to do. He was kind of trying to decide what at the bottom of that ramp. There's kind of a cage looking thing. It's like a box that's open on the one side.
Can we stare over your shoulder?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw
You
it.
saw it? Okay.
Freakiness.
And it's open on this side, so the ramp came down through there, and it's just kind of an open-sided, maybe flower box or something, but this wall back here, the concrete's kind of recessed back into underneath the brick.
Oh, it was a window.
Like, what? Yeah.
It was a window.
what a person should do.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't tear down the brick because it looks way better than what that wall would look like.
Right.
But it has some funny stuff. And above and beyond that too, I was looking at the stairs. Like the stairs were probably built at the same time there's cracks and weird stuff going on with that too. But
That, if you remember that ramp that come down, there was a flat spot. That's flat spot was supported. That's like a planter or whatever you want to call it, looking thing now, supported that flat spot of the ramp. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason Nick wasn't sure if he should tear it out was if he tears that out, then you got an ugly wall. If you leave it there, then you got a weird thing there. And he said,
Is it an actual planter?
no,
it was
he
to
said
support that
it
ramp.
could be turned into a planter, but that could cause issues.
There'd probably water issues on there.
yeah.
But one thing I'll tell you, that he said the reason this is coming up, he's ordering that ramp that's been cut out, and you got this coming down. I think this is a great idea he came up with. He's gone to Jay at Sundance Steel, and he's gonna have steel bent to match the building to wrap that beam and cover that beam all the way down the side of the building. And he said if he rips that out, he's gonna need to order more steel to cover the face of the building, basically. So it would either rip it out and order steel to continue that down and cover that to make it look okay, or leave it in, turn it into a planter if we want, or he's really uncertain what to do there. But we want it done there. Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like we want to make that a plan. We've already got water damage issues on the foundations around this place, you know. I like the idea, you know, covering that bare concrete where they cut the steps off with some steel, you know. It's gonna, may not be the most aesthetic looking thing, but it's gonna be better than a raw concrete edge. You know, then if he takes that out, that raw concrete wall that's back there, you can cover it with that steel, and, you know, we kind of make the best of a bad situation there and give him some direction.
And now is the time to do it.
Yep.
Well, I think your little deal is just a liability. It's just something, a kid waiting to jump off it and break his arm. You know, just get rid of it. I'm the same way. I have a planter next to my building, and I'll tell you what, you know, it's not fun.
Ants.
You get ants, you get bugs, you get cats.
Yeah, nice litter box.
Oh, some nice litter box.
Yeah, and you're just looking for some guidance if anybody has a better idea or.
I think that's a great idea, just to keep going down with the steel and
take that all off
seal
there.
that
Just
up,
cover
and
with seal
then it
and-
looks like it's supposed to be there.
The only other thing that I might suggest is you make that, you put the top on it or whatever, and that's where you put the label of what that building is. You know, you put that is the Weston County Law Enforcement.
Well, yeah, that would be a good.
I mean,
sign, a good
it's a
sign.
good sign right there, if you put a top on it, and then people would be able, I mean, the sign right now is very hard to read what that building is, but that would be kind of cool if you had something right there and you drove up, there it is. That's exactly what it is.
It make it look like it serves a purpose instead of just a covering.
Right, and then,
Yeah, and then you got brick on the outside already, and you could probably fill it full of big rock and then cap it with a
dead bodies, actually.
4-inch, cap it with a 4-inch concrete cap and put a sign on it if you wanted to.
I think you could, I don't
Probably
think,
more expensive at the end of the day,
but it would be aesthetically pleasing, that you know what that, you know, and then when those people want to donate us a fancy statue.
There is the facial brick on that is cracking and deteriorating, coming
pretty
apart
ugly.
already.
The bottom,
Yeah.
you can tell where there's already some water problems there.
Then, you know, that was just my thought of, because that other sign is really tough to see.
But it would, even if we put steel right there, it'd be a nice.
Yeah, so I think if you cover with that, my thought was is get rid of it totally. You cover with steel and make that steel covering a sign.
That works too.
You know.
Sorry.
I guess, in general consensus, we want to just tell Nick to remove it and cover it with steel, and then we decide if
We'll
we're gonna.
decide later on. That's fine with me.
So we'll remove the L-shaped piece?
Mhm.
Okay.
It just looks like a problem
It's
waiting
not-
to happen.
it's not that
If we
good
don't
to
do
do.
it now, we're gonna have to do it
Okay.
5 years from now.
Remove the L-shaped, cover with steel, like, and I think that's still part of his whole deal. Okay. This is a quick deal. I was just pulling up the email here. Erin reached out and the associate director of extension administration, they were trying to get us to figure out a date that we all could meet with them. And they just kept falling on weird dates that wouldn't coincide with a commissioner meeting or something like that. And I said, well, maybe we can figure out something to maybe zoom in on a commissioner meeting or something. So I really don't want to call a special meeting for something like that and have to pay money to advertise and whatnot. But this morning, after I brought this up, she said that turns out the 15th will work for them, and the director, and he's going to come to our meeting. I don't think he probably knows it's in Upton yet, but I will forward that on. So that might have solved itself. So maybe plan on the extension director being in Upton for that.
Just to visit with you guys.
Yeah. That's all I have on that.
Good job. You solved that one with no problem. Good for you.
Really went into that.
That's okay. Wonderful.
Public comment. Is there any public comment this evening? This afternoon. No public comment. Okay, commissioner comment. Marty, is there something you'd like to?
I just want to thank everybody that came last night to that public hearing. I want to, I appreciate all the comments, the openness, the civil behavior that happened, because that is a contentious bone that people want to pick at. And I think if we continue down this road, we will get a solution that may not please everyone, but I think it's because when we got to that solution, we had a general consensus. I mean, we did work it out. And so I think we need to continue with asking those questions, getting answers to those questions, and perhaps have another public meeting so that we can answer some of those, and maybe perhaps new questions came up. So I just want to thank everybody for attending and engaging themselves.
Same, that's what I was gonna, thank you everybody, it was informative for me, hopefully it was informative for the people that came. Brought up a lot of questions and things that we can talk about, it was good.
It means it's fresh on my mind. Chatted with Brad and Chris just a little bit afterwards, and I said, are you guys in favor of the EMS district? Which I assumed I knew the answer. They said, well, yeah, we are. I said, okay. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Are you in favor of the EMS district, or are you in favor of Walmart funding? They said, well, yeah, okay, yep. Definitely got out of them that it was more of a dollar amount. And I said, it doesn't matter to you guys, and I understand the validity of the emergency service, but on their end of it, definitely looking for the dollars. So they're looking at the district as possibly a vehicle getting to the revenue and things like that. But I appreciated their honesty. They're very honest about things. There's a couple things that I even asked them now, being as I call it the East 40 because we're on their East 40 of coverage. I said, you guys purchased this from Roger 5 years ago. If you had it to do over again, would you still have purchased that? because I remember the conversations we've had at the city council meeting. It seems like they're just pulling this rope and barely hanging on, and it's just a pain in their tail to have to service over here. So maybe if you were to go back and do things differently, maybe you wouldn't have purchased it. And they still said that they would have. So I was enlightened by that answer a little bit. So I can look through a little bit of the grime on some of the issues, but he was honest with me and said that even if we were to say in 5 years from now, we wouldn't be able to cover your area, it wouldn't be something that they would want to do. So I thought that was some pretty valuable information, and I felt that Brad and Chris were honest when we were discussing things.
Thank you for asking those questions, Tom.
Reiterate last night, I think we definitely need to have another public hearing, like this. And I was very impressed with Brad and Chris, their openness and honesty, the way they stepped up and answered questions too. And everybody spoke frankly and freely. There was nothing held back pretty much. It got a lot of stuff out on the table. It brought up a lot of questions for me now that I need to look for answers for too, because I thought I knew, had my mind made up. I kind of which direction I still want to go, but it swayed me off my rock solid decision to maybe not on some of the questions, but it was very good discussion last night. I was supposed to be in Sundance now at 1 o'clock for some municipal siding council stuff.
Oh, that's right.
So I got voluntold. It just got on my mind.
Oh, shoot, I forgot about that.
Yep. I forgot. Just totally spaced it out.
Thanks for representing us.
Yeah, I'd echo those comments too, that I think it was a pretty good gathering, and I was impressed with the amount of the public that showed up. And I was surprised at the end when the vote tally showed up that, there's a lot of interest in the community of ensuring that we have people to take care of our health needs, and whichever way we deem to do it is important, and they are interested in us looking into that. So, and the only other thing I had is if you guys brainstorm, because Paul has asked, I brought it up at the beginning of the meeting a little bit, before the meeting started, just mentioned that we need to have a discussion on disclosures of our conflicts of interest. So we need to have that thought process with Malibor, every road and bridge, the fair, our own internal conflicts that we may have. If you live at the end of Raven Creek Road and there's a project happening on Raven Creek Road, that needs to be defined. At the end of the day, those might be small, little ones, but Paul believes that we at least need to get it documented for the future. And so not only on our own, we need to do some brainstorming for our other boards to help them figure out how to do that for themselves, so that we can have all that documented, and it probably needs to be done sooner than later in the next couple months, and updated regularly, probably bare minimum yearly.
I'm not always sure that I think there's definite conflicts of interest, but I also think there's another thing just of, and I'm not going to come up with the right word, but of like integrated interest that necessarily isn't a conflict.
Yeah.
And I think what you're going to run into is that this is a tightly woven county that has arms and tentacles of every one of us in quite a few things. And so I think the definition of it, it would be interesting to know, but I'm not sure some of it is any of our business of how deep we go. I do think there are things that need to be kept. I mean, my husband's on the hospital board.
Yeah.
You know, there were things that happened there. You know, he was on Mallow, and I did step away from Mallow when we had Mallow things. But part of our discussion is to see how far those tentacles reach and what they touch.
And I think you're right. You're going to find they go pretty deep, and I think his interest is more not necessarily to punish anybody or to dissuade anybody from, you know, Jimmy's going to put, somebody lives on Mush Creek. Jimmy's going to put gravel on Mush Creek. It's not for you to sit there and, I'm going to conflict out of this, you know.
Exactly.
It's more along the lines, just so it's documented, and I think it would be clear for him and his work, and also it would probably be good practice for us as servants of the public to feel those out amongst our own selves and help delve into, you know, I got a cousin working for me here at Road and Bridge or something, you know, not that that's happening, but I got to ensure that I know that all the time so that I don't ever make other employees feel that, you know, I'm hurting somebody or something, but just as a circumstance.
Well, let me touch on that. It's not like you don't go to a restaurant and start talking about somebody, and somebody at the next table is your second cousin.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But he'd like us to start that.
I got a good vibe too from Upton's last city council meeting. They rock in this area because there is a lot of overlap in things, and they're recusing and things like that from the voting process. You guys handled it very smoothly. I was impressed with that. That's something that we can learn from. And what I would also like to see as a board is us stimulating each other to do the right thing too, rather than sometimes it's easy because we don't get along with that commissioner very good, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and let them bury themselves, and then we'll tell Paul and hang them out on Main Street. Well, let's work together and say, hey, you know, this is something that could be an issue down the road. Consider this, or whatever. Help each other.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, and I think at one time we kind of did this too, but we had someone come back and kind of push back on us and state to us, the state law says it is you that will call the conflict of interest. No one else does. And so that's kind of cool if we decide as a board that we make our own, you know, as a unit, say, let's all stick together here.
Yeah.
We did have that issue one time. They could talk if they wanted to, because it's up to them to call the conflict.
Thank you. Next question. You guys want to jump into ES, or you want to take a break?
Good. We're here, let's just get her done.
Let's get it done.
So,
Ciao.
need a motion to go into executive session 16-405 AII involving employee review related evaluations, basically.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I should ask for discussion. Opposed? Okay.
Shut that off.